Hard.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Gamers.
Yes, today is the big day. Well, almost a big day. It is Switch 2 Eve. And we're of course very excited because this is like, I mean, listen, this is probably like the most hyped I've been for like a singular direct. Definitely in the last like 5 or 6 years at least, but probably since they announced or like showed off the Switch 1. So
You
I'm
don't
very
sound that
excited for
excited.
this. I'm very excited. I just don't always show it, but I definitely am. This is gonna be awesome. So
Okay.
yeah, so in this video, we're gonna be giving predictions and maybe some hopes for what we think will be shown in this direct, because obviously there's a lot that they could do here. Like the sky is, I don't want to say the sky is the limit, but like there's so much potential here that I feel like you can't help but get excited about what we might possibly see here. And I feel like it's just exciting to talk about it. So, I will start by asking you, I asked you this last week, so I'll ask you it again. What is your hype level at for this direct? Obviously now, especially now that we had last week's direct and we, of course, know some new things about this one.
I would
How excited are
say
you?
I'm probably a nine, just because it's not a regular direct. Obviously, it's for the new console.
Yes.
So yeah, so like a nine, because um, because I know there is going to be some disappointment because it's a new Nintendo console, and you're going to be like, oh, like it's not like it's only that powerful,
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
pretty much the
of
one.
course, yeah, that's the other issue. Yeah, when the sky is limit like this, I mean, yeah, there's always, there's gonna be some things or some aspects of it that maybe don't come to fruition, which, is always okay. I mean, no console is perfect, I don't think, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what things end up like being what we expect and what things end up being worse than we expect, and of course what things are better than we expect. It'll be interesting to see like what things they focus on, like tackle here, especially things that can be improved on from the Switch 1, because obviously there are some things that were done really well on the Switch 1 and some things that were not done very well. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. So I guess we'll open up here with something a bit boring and simple, but important nonetheless. And that's price and release date. So I'll ask you
Hmm.
first, how much do you think this console will cost when it comes out?
I'm going to say I'm going to say if I think there's going to be two release models,
I like two
and like the only
SKUs.
different yeah, and like only difference was it will be probably like internal um storage size. That's what I think. So
Okay.
I think the base model is going to be 128 gigabytes, and I'm going to say that one will go for either 400 or 450, and then I'd say probably then like a 256 model would go for 500 or 550.
Okay.
That's what I think price wise. And then release date, I'm going to say September 1st.
Really? All the way in September, you think?
Yes.
Interesting. That is a bold claim, but I can respect it certainly. So I'll start with the price. I do agree mostly with the price. I've been very conflicted on if I think it was going to be two SKUs or not, or I guess more than one SKU. Because
Hmm.
obviously the Switch 1 had two SKUs, but the only difference was just the Joy-Con colors. It was very limited in terms of the difference.
Yeah.
And historically in the past, Nintendo has not done a lot of different SKUs. Like Wii U had two SKUs. It was just for storage. I don't believe the Wii had any different SKUs when it came out. GameCube did not. NC4 did not. So like it's quite
Mhm.
rare for us to see different SKUs in Nintendo. They just don't seem to really want to do it, and they especially don't like doing it for like pack-in games at launch. Like I remember, some people have been arguing that maybe we might see like a Mario Kart 9 bundle that's like $50 more than the base SKU. But the
Yeah.
more the more I think about it, the more I feel like we're gonna see one SKU. I feel like they want to make it as, I don't want to say simple as possible, but maybe like straightforward. Like I feel like I don't know. I
Mm,
feel like when it comes to like a Switch 2, I mean, like, the biggest thing they want to make sure they don't screw up with this is another Wii U situation where they don't make it very clear, like, this is the new console. And so I feel they want to make sure that the marketing and messaging of this is as simple as it can be. And then, like, and especially when you consider the fact that, like, one of the big games we assume will come out on day one for this is going to be a new iteration of a very popular game on Switch 1, being Mario Kart. They want to make it clear that this is a completely new thing, all the way around. And so I feel like for that reason, it'll be one. But I wouldn't be shocked to see it be two. Um, in terms of the price, I lean 400 personally. I think under 400 is way too cheap. I mean, the OLED is 350, so that wouldn't really make any sense of it being lower than 400. And
mhm.
then above 400, I feel like is difficult because then you're starting to kind of push like comparisons to like the PS5 and Xbox series, and I feel like that's not something they want to do. So 400 I think is probably where they could get away with it the most, and also would still be
Yeah.
reasonable.
Hmm.
Because also 400 is also the price of a Steam Deck, which, not that I'm saying the Steam Deck is as strong as the Switch 2 will be, but
Hmm.
ultimately, I feel like those are probably the two consoles they're going to look at as like the most comparable. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think 400 just makes the most sense.
Hmm.
Release date, I went back and forth. It seems like the window that people seem to believe online for the most part is somewhere between late May to like mid-July or so. That's the most I've seen online.
That early?
Yeah, a lot of
But
people seem
that's
to think like
that's
summer. Yeah.
mm, I mean,
So
but that's
I
only like yeah, like that'd be like 2 months. You think they could
yeah.
get it shipped out worldwide to every retailer in 2 months?
I think probably. Well, I mean, if you remember, I mean, the Switch 1 was shown off in, I believe, January 2017 and it was released on March 3rd. So it was only about 6, 7 weeks after they fully
Really?
unveiled
Oh.
it. So, I mean, it wouldn't be unprecedented
Hmm.
by any means. I admit I was surprised when they did the Switch 1, but now that we know they can do it, I mean, it seems like they could do it again. So I feel like it would make sense. So I actually wrote down a specific date here. I have June 5th, I believe is the day I wrote down. Yeah, June 5th. That
Hmm.
is a Thursday, which I admit I'm a bit hesitant on if I think it'll be on a Thursday or not. My only like real reason for picking a Thursday is because in recent months, Switch 1 games have come out on Thursdays for some reason. So I feel they'll stick with that. It's just kind of just what they want to do with their kind of like financial calendar, so to speak. Um, but I could see it being a Friday. I think it's even possible it could be another day of the week, maybe even. But Thursday, I think, is most likely. So I'm going with Thursday.
I see it maybe
And
being on a day not in the week, potentially.
oh yeah, like
Yeah.
what?
Like like that day that's after Sunday but before Sunday.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I think it could be
Hmm.
on that day.
Hmm.
I didn't really consider that, but that's possible, I guess.
Hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, I feel like it's probably I've seen actually, believe it or not, more people have been saying late May in recent days, I've noticed. I don't personally buy into that. I think late May is a little bit too soon, but I think I would be quite surprised if it was beyond the end of June. I feel like that makes the most sense personally. So I will go with June 5th. Um so next up, it's actually something that has gotten some new information today, and so I'm curious what you'll think about this. I don't know if you've seen it.
Hmm.
Um, Next, I want to talk about some of the kind of like the features the Switch 2 will have that we already know about.
Hmm.
So I want to talk about something fun first before we get into like kind of like the more simple and boring things. So I'm sure you are aware that there is a new C button on the Switch 2, that is going to have
Hmm.
some feature that we don't know about yet. Um,
I don't remember.
Oh, well, so it wasn't on the console. It wasn't on like the render when they showed it off during the initial reveal. But
Oh.
in recent like showings of it, but would it be like on like Nintendo News app, or I think even on some of like the like promotional stuff they've done the last few days.
Oh, that it's like below the home button.
Correct. Yeah, it's
Okay,
so
I'm looking at it.
yeah, so it's new. It's like a new like thing that they've put on it ever since. I don't know if it was because they accidentally like leaked it in something and then they said screw it, we'll just show on everything now, or if there's some other thing they have in mind for it. But it's clearly something that seemingly has some notable and important purpose because it literally has, it's been in multiple different like videos and renders now. And even just this morning, actually, in the Japan Nintendo news. they actually showed a short little video of someone like pressing it and like the noise it'll make. So
Mhm.
it clearly has some notable purpose. I wanted to ask you what you think this or what this button possibly could do. I have two ideas, but I figured I'd ask you first. I don't
Hmm.
know if you really thought about it,
Let's
but
see. I mean, with the C button, it could stand for connect.
hmm
Um, and I would say maybe they want to do something like the Wii U where it could show something on the screen, like in portable and on the TV. Like it would connect to the
right.
dock
So
some
you th
wirelessly, like probably through Bluetooth or something or Wi-Fi. Actually, yeah,
right.
probably it'd probably connect like through like Wi-Fi too, uh,
hmm
and then like do that. That's what I think could be like the coolest thing to do. Um,
Yeah,
but a lame thing I think is that it's just the two options. It's an Amiibo Connect button when you press that and then it asks for Amiibos or something.
okay,
Or it's just like a Bluetooth Connect button.
sure.
I think that's the two lame ones versus the one where I feel like could maybe be something that they're wanting to do because that is
Right.
arguably the coolest thing that the Wii U did
Was it, yeah,
was
the dual screens. Yeah.
yeah. And so I feel like they want to mix that with the success that they know they have with the Switch.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, so I'll start with the latter two things. I don't see it being either of those, only because those two things exist on the Switch 1 in different forms. So I don't think we'll see like, there's already a way to scan Amiibo with the infrared. There's already a way to connect Bluetooth devices through the settings. I don't think we'll see that
It
as a
doesn't scan
dedicated
Amiibo
button.
through infrared, by the way. Just
Oh, whatever. You know what I mean?
NFC.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
stop spreading misinformation.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I did yeah, one of my ideas actually was potentially connecting to the TV and making a second screen. My vision of that though was it wouldn't be called Connect, it would be called Cast if that was the case.
No,
Um
whatever. I mean, same.
yeah, but I mean yeah, same difference really. I did have another idea for Connect though, and that was I actually think this might be the way in which they bring back a like social media-esque service in the same spirit as like a Miiverse from the Wii U days. We
Hmm.
saw even after, Miiverse was a flawed but great idea, I feel like, for the Wii U. Like it was a great way to kind of talk with people about, games on the Wii U, and that was cool. Even though it kind of unfortunately kind of spun out of control after a few years and became very unmoderated and very let's just say very
Hmm.
crazy as a result. But it was still something that had a lot of potential, and we even saw on the Switch there were some games that kind of brought back like a Miiverse like system within the game itself. Like I know Splatoon had it, I believe Mario Maker 2 had it, a few other games I think. So I mean, it's clearly something Nintendo still had like find some value in, even though they couldn't find a way to like make it like a mainstream thing. So I feel like we might finally see that come back with this. My only kind of like hesitancy with that is I don't know if it would be like called just Connect, like for like a C button. I don't think that makes any sense, but I feel like it'd be called something else. But I feel like seeing some kind of like Miiverse-esque idea come back is definitely possible, and I feel like this
Hmm.
button could be linked to it. So I think I'd
Hmm.
at least bring that idea out. Um,
Yeah, maybe
so yeah,
because I think maybe like with the announcement of Tomodachi Life 2,
hmm
they definitely want to try to bring because the Switch like it had Mii's,
right,
but they weren't really used for anything.
yes,
And so I think they want to try to make that a more prominent feature of
hmm
like using Mii's as because all right, what could you use it? You could use it to have it as your like profile picture.
hmm
What
And like
what
and there was a
in
few
like
games obviously they used
right, it
this.
was Smash Bros and Mario Kart.
And then also Miitopia and we Switch Sports. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that honestly that
yeah,
might have
that's
been
it.
it. I don't think there's anything else. It definitely wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of games. So
Mhm.
so yeah, that is the weird thing is like Nintendo I think kind of like trying to like step away from Mii's during the Switch era. but they
hmm
didn't step away enough to the point where they kind of like killed them off completely.
Yeah, and now they're like, nah, people seem like they kind of wanted it still, so
Yeah,
we'll,
exactly.
we'll make a game. We'll
Yeah,
do
so
a
they're like,
game.
all right, now we gotta bring him back. So yeah, I feel like yeah,
Mhm.
we probably will see them come back in some capacity during the Switch 2. I don't know if it'll be in this direct. I think it might be in some capacity. I don't know if they're gonna have like a big focus on it,
hmm
but I do feel like they're going to have some at least like indication that Mii's are not dead. If anything, because yes, there is a game coming
Yeah.
out next year. It's going to use them. So I
hmm
mean, they can't get rid of them completely, clearly. So yeah, I do think that'll be a thing that happens. I do agree. Um, I guess that's talking about like kind of the boring stuff. We can talk about like UI and all that kind of stuff. So the
hmm
UI, I actually think. So here's the thing about the UI. I actually don't think the UI is bad. A lot of people like to complain that it's too boring and too simple or there's not enough going on. I personally, I get that complaint, but I don't mind it as much. I think it's really simple and easy to find all your stuff, whether it be your games.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
it's
Go ahead.
like I think the Switch's UI is like very good because it's
Yeah,
just everything important at the bottom and then games or
right.
apps. And
Yeah.
so I think they're like, well, I guess why change that?
Correct. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the UI we saw on the Switch 2 was actually quite similar. I feel like they won't change it a lot. I think there's going to be a few changes here and there, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I think
hmm
overall will be quite similar. The main difference I actually want to see is actually outside of the main like home screen itself. Um, I actually really hope that they changed how some of those little apps at the bottom work, like the eShop and the NSO app and those kind of things. Because I'm sure as you're aware,
hmm
when you open those, it's not like a seamless transition to like some other area of the Switch. It's like in a browser. And it loads very slow. It's very clunky. Buying
Yeah,
anything and looking at anything in the eShop takes forever, and it's not very enjoyable
yeah,
to do. Um, so I hope that's something that they improve upon or just get rid of altogether because that's one of the most deterring things about the Switch's kind of UI, in my opinion. And I think
yeah,
that's something they can definitely improve upon. So I hope that's something they get rid of. And then on top of that, the NSO app. I get why it's there, but ultimately I feel like it's not necessary, or at least not in its current form. There's like they have a whole app dedicated for NSO, but there's not a whole lot to do on that app, and I feel like it could easily be within something else.
yeah. So let me say,
So
so for the Switch 2, then do you think that one they would instead of having a phone NSO app where you have to talk and stuff, they'll change it to where like they would use the NSO app on the actual Switch and it would be like something that every other console does, which is the game chat through the actual console itself.
Um, that is a good question. So one thing that actually was discovered, I think today, maybe even, is that I believe it's I forget if it's the grip or maybe the Pro controller. I think it's the grip, actually. I don't even know what the Pro controller yet. But I believe there's a controller that's going to have a headphone jack in it, which of course would indicate they're probably going to have some semblance of voice chat capabilities in this system. Um, so yeah, ideally, yeah, I
Hmm.
would hope it would be kind of more similar to like a PS5 or an Xbox because yeah, the way Nintendo does it is still very weird and convoluted. Like the fact that you have to use an app to communicate
I
with people
don't
is
think
stupid.
and I don't know anyone who uses that. Everyone just uses
Exactly.
Discord
Yeah, or
because
anything else. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I feel like it's like that's the thing, right? Like Nintendo has kind of nailed the kind of like core aspects of the Switch in terms of like, the way they want to market it and kind of
hmm
like the way in which they want to like portray it in terms of like the games and all that. So
hmm
yeah, the big focus I think should be in terms like for this console, especially early on, the big focus needs to be kind of like the more like techie side of things. And I feel like that's one
hmm
of those like key obvious things that could clearly improve that would go a long way for people. Um,
hmm
and yeah, so I feel like yeah, voice chat. I don't know if it'll be quite like up to the standards of like what we normally see from like a PlayStation or an Xbox. I don't know if it'll be quite good enough to get that far, but I think it will at least be better than what we see right now with it being on an app. Like that's just weird and confusing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it will be at least improved from
hmm
that, which is at least a step in the right direction. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I'm hoping for.
yeah, and then I would say like so if it is like that where, there is some sort of voice chat kind of thing. 'Cause like on the Switch right now, if you hold down the home button, you get that little side panel, but
Hmm.
that's only for brightness, volume, and to like turn off the console.
Right.
But if it like the way it works with like, the other things is that you press the home button and it has like all the other options of like pretty much every shortcut for like everything else. So like I feel like
Yeah.
they would maybe do that then for this. Like that would be a UI change is
Right.
making that a bit
Yeah.
um
I agree,
better.
actually.
And yeah. And I'll also say going back to like the me thing and maybe like more of like a on console social media sort of thing. Like I don't know if PlayStation has that. I know Xbox does. They have like different pages that you can post like your clips and stuff to.
Hmm.
Because like, you can on the Switch, you can take screenshots and record the past 30 seconds to do that, but that's it. There's nowhere you can yeah, I think you can attach like your Twitter to it and post it on and link it to your Twitter, but there's
Right.
no like on console media thing to look at other people's screenshots and things. And
Correct.
like you can do that on Xbox, which I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, and that's probably why I think they'll bring back a Miiverse type thing, is that's an easy way you can do it while still limiting it to like Nintendo
Yeah.
related things. And I feel like I feel like that's probably the biggest reason they haven't done anything like that. It's like Nintendo's always been very like kind of like protective of like, oh, don't let the kids get exposed to evil, Facebook and Twitter or whatever the hell. So like,
Yeah. I mean, but they definitely are Nintendo is definitely more now of okay, they're trying to appeal to everyone and not just kids.
sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at their eShop, there's a lot of games on there that are very much not for kids.
Yeah, I do agree. Yes. And yeah, I feel like that's why they're bringing it back, is I think they kind of know at this point that they need to kind of like be a bit more, I guess, willing to reach into that space, because that's just something that's like
Mhm.
so commonplace on the other consoles. So not having it, I feel like would just be such a, I don't know, if like a term, maybe just kind of a failure. So
Hmm.
so yeah, I think that's just gotta happen. The other
Hmm.
big UI change I hope we see is something to do with how like looking at your profile and like your friends list works. I don't understand to this day why you can only see the hours of the last 20 games you played on your profile. That makes no sense.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and so I hope that's something they fix. Like make it where maybe like it shows your hours for each game, like when you are on the game icon itself, with the way PS5 does it, or have some other way. Because yeah, the last 20 games, it's like, why is that a thing? Like, there's only no reason why it should be the last 20. Let it be every game that you've ever played. Like,
Mhm.
So yeah, I hope it's a thing that changes. And then in a perfect world, I hope this is finally the console where we kill off friend codes. Because friend codes are so outdated and so annoying to deal with. They're
Like you think
long.
it'd be through just like username sort of thing?
I hope they let you link your like My Nintendo account ideally. But
Mm.
I don't know if they would quite be want to go that far yet. So in that case, I hope they just kind of give you like a, yeah, maybe
I
like
mean,
a username.
I guess yeah. I mean, I don't mind the friend code thing
Yeah,
just because then you can just make your username like kind of like whatever.
sure.
And like it's
Yeah.
easy to just switch over your account and all that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why they do it like that way, is because yeah, they want to make you be able to just have like something simple for your username, and people know what it is. But like I don't know. I feel like there's still a way to make it easier than having a long and just weird friend code system. Like I feel like friend codes are such an outdated idea. Like even if you want to keep the ability to like make your username whatever you want.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess like a way to at least maybe just look up people instead of
yeah, like
having
even
like a list.
even if it's like I don't know, like a like a link you send to somebody. Like I think even that would be easier than what we get right now. Like a
Hmm.
QR code, maybe they can make that work. So. I
Hmm.
don't know. I hope that's what we see, because I just think Francos are just annoying. I don't like them. They were fun back on the Wii and the 3DS, but
Hmm.
they're not fun now. They're outdated now. I don't
Oh
want them
yeah.
anymore.
Well,
So
so then do you think they're then gonna get rid of being able to add friends from your 3DS? Because you could do that on the Switch. You can still add like
could
the
you? I didn't
friends
even
you
know that.
Yeah, you can add your 3DS friends.
Then
Like you
yes,
can.
they will
You
get rid
think
of
they're
that.
you think they're gonna get rid of that? What?
I know, shocking prediction, but yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, 3S is dead, unfortunately. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And last UI prediction I have, I don't know if you have any other like notable ones, but last one I have is I think they'll finally have themes. The Switch one,
Mhm.
Nintendo had a section for themes, and the entire life cycle of this console, all we had was the white and black background themes. That was all we got. And so it just seems weird that an entire tab for that just did not have any new themes after launch. So I don't know if maybe they just decided after a while they didn't want to do it anymore, or maybe they, know, didn't think it was worth doing it. I don't know. But I think we'll
Mhm.
finally get them this time. I think it makes too much sense. The 3DS had themes, so they had presence of doing them in the past. And ultimately I feel like they're just a cool little thing you could make like, you could charge like $2 a theme or something. People would eat that stuff up. So I think it's time to have themes. PS5 has, or no, PS5 does not have themes actually, but PS4 did. Um, and yeah, the 3DS had them, so like why not? I think they'll have themes. And I think they'll have a few of them day one even. So yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I
Well,
guess the last thing is what do we think they'll have in terms of like specs, in terms of like, like how powerful will this console be? Like, do we think there's going to be like 4K or like
I mean, it
120
has
frames or
it
anything?
has. I don't know if it was like how confirmed or good the information was, but it was saying that it's about as powerful as a PS4 Pro,
Correct. Yeah, I heard that
um,
too.
which that would indicate 4K or 1080 60.
Hmm.
Um, which I mean, honestly, I'm happy with that. Like everyone who's like oh my God, I need 4K 60. It's
Yeah.
like I would much prefer have a 1080p or maybe like a 1440p 60 frames than a 4K 30.
Right.
So
I agree.
I just think the smoothness looks better in games.
Hmm.
Like whenever like playing on PS5 and Series X, and when you start a game, I always switch it to performance over quality mode,
Right.
just
Yeah, same
because it's
here.
like, and because literally you can barely tell the fidelity difference, but
Hmm.
it's the frame difference is very obvious. And is does the Switch have any? Can't the Switch do 60?
Yeah, for some games. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
um, like I would say I'd say for like a portable device, PS4 Pro, like I think that's good.
Oh yeah.
Um, in terms of like teraflops and power, because then you could have um all the that's more than enough to run like Mortal Kombat 1 without the system crashing.
Right.
Um, and maybe a Pokemon game that doesn't lag.
Don't answer too much now, but
Okay.
but
But
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think and I would say if it isn't PS4 Pro-ish type of or maybe like a Series S type of
Hmm.
power. Like I would say which I think a PS4 Pro is like about the same as like maybe the Steam Deck. It's like
Right.
roughly the same power in there.
Yeah.
And so I would say that makes sense and like that's plenty good. I think that'll be good.
Okay. Yeah, I agree actually. That sounds solid. Yeah. So like there's been rumors that the Switch 2 will have DLSS, which of course would mean that they can even get away with having it be below 60 frames for some games and it could still visually look like 60 frames. So that would mean that yeah, they could I think get quite a lot of like horsepower on this thing in terms of like some like the size of these games. Um, the question that I think is interesting is I've seen people even discuss the idea of it being 1080 and then dare I say some people have said up to 120 frames. I don't think we're gonna
No,
see something
no,
that
that is
grand.
no.
Um, but
Like why would it? I don't, I don't, I, do not think so. Because something going up to 120 frames, that's still something that's a bit more like it's very easy to get like a cheap screen or whatever that's 60, but when that goes
Hmm.
up to 120 is still a bit more on the expensive side
Right.
for those refresh rates. So,
Yeah.
because then that would mean that they would probably unless it's like 120 on TVs and like portable, it's 60,
Right.
but yeah, but I
Yeah.
guess so, yeah, so then what do you think actually the screen is going to be like for portable?
Um, I think the best we can hope for probably is like 1080 30 frames for all games. I think that, like, yeah, I think that's the best we can hope for. I feel
Because
pretty confident. Like I mean it's like on a baseline level, I feel like you have to expect everything will be 1080p. Like if it's not,
yeah,
that would
because
just be such a
this one's
disappointment.
720, right?
Yeah, on portable, yes, I
Yeah,
believe so. Yeah.
which is crazy because it does not look 720. Like
No, it looks solid. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how it is 720 because yeah, this
Yeah.
looks really crisp. But
Right.
is it six? Is it only 30 frames on?
I think it depends on the game, but I believe some games it can get down to 30. Or actually, some games I think it's not even below that. Like I know, like we'll talk about this more during the games section, but there are some third-party games in particular I know of that are like they're quite stuttery in terms of like closer to like 10, 15, 20 frames. Um,
Um,
so I know at least it can stutter at times.
oh well,
And
well no, I meant like how many hertz is the screen?
oh,
So like I think okay, so the screen is 60 hertz.
right,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, so it is still 720 60, but so I
uh-huh,
would say like at most 1440p for the screen. Um,
uh-huh,
and and like yeah, there's no reason for it to only be a 30 hertz screen, so definitely 60.
I agree. Yeah.
But then so do you think that it'll come out as an OLED or they'll stick with the LCD?
I think probably OLED. Just like that feels like the standard now. I feel like it would make
Hmm.
sense.
The only thing with OLED though is that so you know how they have like they've shown the dock and how it'll be like the top part is like basically a little like alarm clock and stuff.
Uh-huh.
The only thing is that with an OLED screen, that would burn in pretty quickly if you
Mm.
have like because if that like time like in the little time clock thing there it like stays there like
Yeah.
that would burn in with OLED and so I would say that maybe not OLED. I would say they would maybe do like a thing below that like a I think it's mini LED is like a or like IPS like the type of
Yeah.
screen that they would do that's like above like a standard LCD but
Sure. Yeah, you raise a good point. Yeah, I mean, I admit this is not my wheelhouse. Like, I'm definitely not a big like specs guy. So you raise a good point that you're not considering. But I feel like there's maybe a workaround for that though. Like maybe that's not a feature you have to have on permanently. That would help avoid that issue. But yeah, I do get what you're saying. I definitely think that might be something to consider and why they don't do that. But yeah, I don't know.
hmm
I can go either way.
yeah because the okay yeah because for the regular Switch you know it's a IPS which means in-panel switching
Yep.
LCD screen and so I mean like it looks great so like if they like I'm fine with it not being AMOLED or being OLED.
Yeah.
Um, I guess you know really the only benefits really of OLED is just like more vibrant colors and like darker darks.
Hmm.
Which you know you don't really need that for like like the first Switch's like power.
No.
Um, but like with games with high fidelity like on the like a PS4 level quality stuff, yeah, an AMOLED would make more sense because then you could run something like GTA 5 or
Right.
Red Dead 2 in like a lower fidelity. But like where
Hmm.
that game has like very big, like very high brights and very low darks.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, but really, I don't think it really matters if it's OLED or not. But
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, probably not. I guess I feel like OLED would like I feel like people would see like the word OLED and be like, oh, that's cool. Like I don't know. But I get what you're
yeah.
saying. Yeah.
hmm
Um, so yeah, I guess that's mostly it. Do you have anything else like for the Switch 2 itself that you think is notable to talk about?
Mm,
Good.
well, actually, yes, because one,
Oh, I actually have one more
there's
thing too. I
the
forgot.
Joy-Cons.
Yes, I was gonna mention that. Yeah,
The well, actually, yeah, let's just talk about the Joy-Cons. So, yeah, they showed that it would be magnetically connected.
right.
Um, which I mean, it's like cool. I don't think
Yeah,
that really is like a oh my God,
yeah,
they snap in. I mean, it's like, as long as they don't fall out,
right. Yeah, I mean,
then that's fine. So,
they only did that just to fix drift. I mean, that's the only reason they changed it. So as long as it fixes that goal, and yeah, there's no
how does
other
that
new
fix
problems.
that has nothing to do with the drift.
Okay.
That
But
that
yeah,
no,
I think,
what that has something that has to do with the type of thumbstick that they use. It has nothing to do with how the um the Joy-Con connects into the system. It has to do with the type of thumbstick
and
that
let
they
me ask you
use.
then, why do you think they changed it to magnetic?
Because they probably just wanted to do something cool and different. But no, that has nothing to do. The connectivity between the Joy-Con like at the bottom is like where the little strip is, like the ribbon strip, or ribbon connector. That has nothing to do with the stick drift. The stick drift has to do with the type of um joystick that they use and like how it like reads the data because it's like a type that like over time like it can be a bit fidgety. It has
Well,
nothing to do with
I
that.
remember reading that like because like the biggest issue was like the Hall effect sensors, right? And so like with it being magnetic, it would reduce like the wear and tear of the like compared to like the what's it called potentiometers or what it's called. Um and so I thought that was a big thing, and that's why we get rid of drift, right?
No, no, because it's just the thumbstick itself. It's the type of thumbstick. It's not. It doesn't have to do with how the controller connect. Because I've had drift. Because you still would have drift if it's not connected to the Switch.
Mhm.
You would still have like I've had drift on my Pro controller. Like that's
I think we're talking about so yeah, you're right. I mean, I think we're talking about different kinds of drifts. I do believe there is a drift that happens just from the sake of using like the potentiometers or what it's called. But yeah, you're talking about just
I don't know.
like normal like thumbstick, which I believe, yeah, that version you are correct. Yeah. But either way, yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, yeah, the magnetic part is probably just to get rid of that itself. I don't think there's really much else it accomplishes other than that. Um, do you think there'll be any other colors besides like the black, like
Oh
the red and
yeah,
blue?
I mean they make so much money off of people like you, where they were like, "Ooh, this color is different purple and a blue. I'm gonna spend $70 on that."
I mean, hey, I only bought new ones because I had to drift my old ones. If I could have kept the same ones, I would have the whole time.
I don't think so because you've done the same with PS5 controllers.
Okay, I agree. Well, PS5 is different though. The PS5 ones are like awesome. The Joy-Cons are like whatever. I don't even use the Joy-Cons much, so
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, but then the other biggest thing was the how they showed it would be like a mouse.
yep.
Um, which I mean, that's just using like the IR, like they're just kind of moving the IR sensor.
Hmm.
And so like we said in the previous for the previous Switch Direct, it's gonna be used in very few games. Like maybe there's gonna be like some Microsoft Paint type of application, or maybe if there is like a Miiverse thing and you can draw stuff on like a board, that's what it's
Right.
gonna be used for. But besides that, it's like okay, that's a cool feature, but it's like how many times was the IR sensor used on the Switch? It was used for 1-2 switch. It was used for the Labo. And then there's just like some random eShop garbage where it just uses the IR sensor as like a camera and like that's it.
Right. Yeah, and I
Like,
do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the R sensor was definitely like a forgotten feature. I do agree. I do think that I agree with you last week when you said it, but since then I actually have kind of wavered on that because if you have seen kind of like some of the marketing for this console in the last few weeks, we have seen I think multiple different like posters, renders, trailers, whatever you want to call them, that have shown this mouse feature, like whether it be in just being used or whether it be like just like as a part of like the promotional art. And I do feel like it feels like they're really pushing this as like some like notable feature on the Switch
I mean,
too.
they did that with the IR sensor as well.
Um,
We have the Switch One Direct on here, and there was like a whole segment
uh-huh.
part about how they were like, look, you can use it in the games, you can like tell the distance and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, I think the difference is that obviously like, they showed off that feature for the first time during this direct. Meanwhile, they've announced the mouse feature well before they're having Switch 2 direct, and they showed it off in the very short, little trailer they did, what, a few months ago now.
I guess, yeah.
And I mean, in that trailer, they only had like, what was it, 2 minutes? I mean, they wanted to show the most important things and features in this system. And the fact that they that felt the mouse feature was notable to include in that to me tells me that they clearly have some vision for this thing beyond just like 2 or 3 games.
I
So,
don't know. I wouldn't say clearly because sometimes they just show stuff and it's just like, okay.
I mean, it's always possible. I mean, yeah, I definitely don't think this will be a feature that's in like every game or anything, but I do feel like it's something that'll be more used than maybe we think. Like, I definitely feel like it's not going to be like an ignored aspect of this. I feel like it will get it's like worthwhile.
Yeah.
Like
I I
it will
get
get used.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still don't think it'll be used for much, but
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
yeah,
but
we'll see.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I have faith. Like, I do feel more and more like it's actually like something they really want to push, and it's something that will be important as a result.
Mm, yeah.
Um,
I mean, like, but besides that, I think the other stuff technology-wise for the Joy-Cons, um, do you think that they will stick with uh digital triggers, or do you think it might be analog?
um, I don't really know. I
Because
would
that
think
made
digital,
every
but I'm not
really
sure.
you think that they would stick with digital
I mean,
even
I'm
though
not.
it's
I admit I haven't really thought about it, so I'm not really sure. I could. I mean, I can go either way. Admittedly, I don't really know like what
I mean,
the.
because it basically made it to where every racing game sucked on the Switch.
I mean, I think if people would prefer the other one, and there's reason to believe they would do it, I don't see why not.
Do you know
But
what I mean by saying digital versus
well, yeah,
analog?
of course, I'm just saying like I haven't really thought much about like which one would be, but um,
Well, yeah, well because it's like, because like let's say because like with Mario Kart, like I don't know any reason why you would need to go slower, um
right.
but for other racing games, yeah, you don't want to be full throttle all the time through different
Hmm.
stuff, and so like no one was like, yeah, let's play
I mean, it
uh
depends. 'Cause, like there are some like
game
In
there.
Mario Kart, for instance, like they have like battle mode, and in battle mode, you're not always trying to like fucking fly on the road. So I mean, like
Yeah, I mean, and you
I
can't like you have to like tap on tap off
right, yeah,
because
yeah.
it's digital.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess based on that, I mean, yeah, I guess you would think it would be analog, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I also don't know there's like enough like complaints or like enough like cries for them to change it. So I think that's something that not think much about, but who knows? I can see it either way. I wouldn't be shocked if it was
yeah.
analog.
Mm,
Um,
yeah. But other thing is like they're definitely gonna I don't know if they'll have like a new version of like the HD Rumble. Um because it's already very good. Like I love the HD Rumble.
mhm.
I wish more games used it because it is really cool how like it does super accurately mimic different things and
Right.
um
Um,
yeah, but I don't know if obviously the controller is not going to be in terms of like how the PS5 controller has like the was sensitive like the whatever triggers
oh yeah,
um
data triggers, yeah.
yeah, But like the Switch controllers already have amazing rumble. They have amazing like motion sensing. So it's
Hmm.
like they could like try to, perfect it a little bit, but it's not going to be like a huge leap like it was with the Switch. So
Right,
I don't think they'll put too much time into. They might just be like, and now HD Rumble 2.0, it's more accurate. Okay,
right.
moving on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's like something they could do to like improve it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, will it be like a notable jump to the point where it needs to be like highlighted? I don't think so. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I
I
guess
guess
one more. Go ahead.
sorry. I just thought of this right now before I forget. So you know how the Switch uses like some weird type of voltage for its charging? Like it doesn't
Um,
use the standard.
yes,
So and that like using like a regular like using like your phone charger could like actually break the system potentially due to like voltage differences.
I actually did not know that. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, so that's why there's like there's like Nintendo Switch specific power banks that have a specific voltage um and amps that is the same as if you were using the included Switch charger.
Yeah.
Um, because like if you use your phone charger, it's like a bit more than like the Switch can handle, and like it doesn't have like a good system in place to like restrict voltage going into the system.
Hmm.
And so it can hurt the system. Like I would feel like they would hopefully maybe fix that with uh the Switch 2, that just wouldn't be a problem. But
Yeah. That sounds like kind of like a weird like Nintendo-ified thing that they
Mhm.
could fix. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, I mean anything to make it a bit more like mainstream, I think it would never hurt. Yeah. If that is actually an issue, yeah. I'm kind of surprised that's something they haven't. I mean, I guess they wouldn't have a way to fix it, but like before
No, because
now.
it's
But
just like a way that the hardware's
yeah, but yeah, that
doesn't.
sounds pretty bad. So I would think they would address that in some capacity. Yeah.
Mm.
Next I want to mention the idea of something I've been hoping for a while now. And that is that I think on Switch 2 we will finally get Nintendo's version of achievements. I think we're finally getting achievements on the Switch too. I don't know what they'll be called specifically, because obviously Xbox has achievements, PlayStation calls them trophies. Um, so the idea
Mario
of
Bucks.
the idea I've heard thrown around is stamps or maybe like stickers, because those have been
Oh
things that have been
yeah.
used in the past in like the Wii U era, in
Hmm.
specific games. Um, so I think we might see them called that. Either way, I think we'll finally get the idea of achievements on Switch 2 in some form. Because like
Hmm.
even within particular games, even we've seen trophies or like achievements be a thing. Like for instance, like Mario Party, Mario
Uh-huh.
3D World, a few others. So
Yeah. Definitely if they are gonna try to lean more into a more social aspect on the
right.
console itself, then yes.
Hmm.
And that would definitely help. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that'd be a fun thing to have on there. I don't know, like I said, I hope they're I don't like, the thing is like I hope they're done well. Like I hope they don't like and that feels like a feature that like especially because it's like the first time they're doing it on Nintendo
Mhm.
console. It feels like something they could like Nintendoify and make it like weird and convoluted for like no reason. But I think it could be really cool. I certainly think if it's done well, it would be pretty awesome because yeah, I mean it's got a lot of potential certainly. I mean it doesn't hurt anything to have them on there. So yeah, I think it'd be a cool little add-on to have. Um
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then there
And
was one
then
more
I
thing.
think
Go ahead, yeah.
so I don't know if this was on the Wii U, but on the 3DS, there was an internet browser
Yeah,
and you could just go on the internet.
right. The Switch has that
You
too.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't? I thought it did.
No, it doesn't have an
Oh,
internet
never
browser.
mind. I thought it did.
Dang, dude. All right. Seems like you don't know what you're talking about. Maybe this should
I
be
might
new to
not.
you. Hmm.
I mean, I never use it, so
Because it doesn't exist.
yeah.
But yeah, no, no, there was an actual like you would go to Google on your 3DS, Obviously, it wasn't great because it was also on the screen there, but it was just a regular browser. Like you could go onto any website,
Hmm.
um, and I mean any website.
Yeah. I believe the Wii U did have that as well. I think that's why I thought of on the Switch.
Yeah, but and so it's maybe if they do try to, you know, maybe they bring that back and you can use the Joy-Con as the mouse and like maybe that's what they'll say Nintendo Switch 2 in collaboration with Microsoft. It has Windows 11 on there.
I know you're kind of memeing, but like, I don't think it's actually like a bad idea. Like, I actually think
I
that
mean, yeah, that'd be
could
cool,
happen.
but
Yeah.
but it's like no, they're not gonna just have like yeah, you can just use it as
Yeah.
Windows
Well, yeah,
11
they're
on
not gonna
there.
have Windows 11, but like, I think they could have
Yeah.
like I could see them doing like a thing where like, oh look, like use your mouse feature to go on the internet. I actually think that's something they might. I could see them saying that. That wouldn't shock me.
I mean, yeah, like I feel like I think on PS5, can you, because you can use Microsoft Edge on Xbox.
Yeah.
Um, can you go on the internet, like just on regular web pages on PS5?
I actually have no idea. I like literally like I don't I think in all the consoles I've owned that had that feature, I've probably used it less than 5 times ever. So
Yeah,
like
because
I
you
don't
can use
know.
your controller on it, but you can also plug in a computer or plug in a keyboard and mouse on Xbox and use that
Hmm.
on Edge.
Right.
Like not many people use it because it's like because you can't really use it like a computer, like you can't really download stuff.
No.
I mean, unless you can like homebrew it or in some way. But yeah, because you could use it to go to like streaming websites that maybe there's not an app on the console itself. Like you could go to a streaming website and like watch
Right.
stuff through like the Edge browser, um, and stuff like that. But so yeah, because I would think yeah that'd be cool. I'm not like expecting it if they
Hmm.
show it. That'd be a cool surprise.
Yeah.
But it's not like on the list of like a feature that I think is like they're going to add it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely not like a vital piece of the puzzle by any means. Yeah, I would agree.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess is that it? I can't remember if there's anything else I wanted to mention. I'm looking through my notes. I'm not seeing anything. So I guess that means we can transition
The games.
toward the games now. And I want to start by asking, actually, I want to do something like a more natural segue here. I want to talk
Hmm.
about NSO to start off.
Hmm.
Because I feel that's kind of just a natural place to go. Um, so there have been rumblings of NSO appearing here in a few different capacities. Some people predict, of course, GameCube. We've seen DS predicted, I think, a few times. Um,
Hmm.
do you think we'll see either of those? And if you do, what do you think they
Um,
will look
I
like?
would say if what we were talking about, like the C button, is that it's like a connectivity type of thing,
Yeah,
then potentially with DS and 3DS. If that's not what that is, I don't think so.
yeah,
Just because I just don't see them trying to mm, do like a DS thing where it's showing both screens at once, or you have to like switch through
right.
the top and bottom screen on the one screen. That
Yeah.
just doesn't seem like very Nintendo to me. Like
Well,
I feel like they would want it to be on two screens at once. Like that's like their
I
like
agree. Yeah,
or else
because
maybe it's then that's just like an emulator.
yeah, it was when they because they tried that a few times on the Wii U with like Star Fox Zero and I think a few other games, and
Hmm.
it was not very popular. So I don't think they want
Yeah.
to go back to
And
that again.
so
Yeah.
I would say yes if that's what the if the connecting thing is, then yeah.
Hmm.
But I definitely do think for GameCube, yeah, especially if the storage size is going to be bigger,
Hmm.
um, then yeah, because each GameCube game was like a few gigs roughly.
Right.
I don't know how big like the biggest like game like Nintendo game on there is, but
I think it's somewhere like a few gigs. I think it's like 3 or 4 maybe.
yeah, but because if you have an app that has like 6, 7 games on there, That's like a 30 gigabyte application,
Right.
and that's like how much does the Switch have? It's like what, 32?
Not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's definitely why it's like I know for a fact they weren't going to do it um on the first Switch.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I do definitely see them doing GameCube. They 100% there will not be Wii.
No, I don't
I
think
don't
we
think that would only be maybe very later on in the console,
yeah.
where they would maybe announce it, kind of like what they did with the N64, how that was like what 5 years into the console's life. About.
Yes. Yeah, it was what, 2021 they announced
Mhm.
that, I think. Yeah. I think
So
so.
yeah.
2022 maybe.
And so that's the only time I would see Wii being in there. But
Hmm.
GameCube, yeah, I would say uh maybe they just announce that GameCube will be there, but maybe like it won't be available day one. Um,
Right.
unless that is what they're planning on being um a launch title is GameCube NSO, which that would be cool.
Yeah.
But then it'd be funny if they then added like trash games.
So I'll start by saying, yeah, I definitely feel confident in GameCube. I mean, of course, there was an FAA filing, I believe, a week or two ago now, that
Hmm.
hinted at the idea of there being a GameCube controller being prepared for this console. So that would naturally mean there's probably going to be
Hmm.
something it's going to be used for, and what
Yeah,
else
I mean
besides the
they came out
GameCube?
with new GameCube controllers for the Switch, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, like for Smash. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it feels only natural that it would exist in some capacity. And more
Hmm.
notably, this new one that they have filed here is a I believe it's actually a wireless controller. So even beyond
Hmm.
like the Switch One ones, clearly it means they have a new one being made, which I don't think they would necessarily want to make a wireless one for like just Smash Bros. Because it's
Hmm.
wireless.
Hey man,
Um,
bro, a new Wavebird, the best controller ever made.
I mean, I listen. I would kill. I mean, I would kill for a Waver quality controller, which I don't know if it'll be quite as good as the Waver, but we can hope.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, if it is wireless, you can't help but
Hmm.
think like it's gotta be with something than like a fighting game where you need like those like instant precise
Hmm.
inputs. So I actually do think we might see it. Yeah, I think that it
Hmm.
does kind of hint toward GameCube NSO. As
Hmm.
for DS, I'm not sure about. I think we could see it. I wouldn't be shocked, but there's not much evidence
Yeah, that
for
one's
it.
definitely just a lot more subjective.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
really, the only thing that people would like to play on there is the Zelda games, maybe some Mario, and but 100% basically the Pokemon games.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, like no one's like, yeah, I want to play the third party games on the
I
3DS. Like,
I think some people might like maybe like I could see a world maybe people were excited for
eh,
that was a system where we saw like Dragon Quest, we saw some Final Fantasies, like Final Fantasy 4, for instance, was ported to DS. I
mm,
think there's a few Fire Emblems on there. Like the original Fire Emblem was remade on DS, albeit it wasn't that great,
okay,
but it was
I
there.
guess.
Um,
Yeah, but it's definitely, but really the only reason why people have been asking for it so much is because they want to play the DS Pokemon games
right. I do agree. Yeah, Pokemon would be
because
definitely the
those
big
are
highlight.
so
Yeah.
expensive to play through legal means
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
they cost hundreds of dollars
Yep.
to
Don't
play.
remind me. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I think that goes the same for GameCube is
Hmm.
um like a lot of those GameCube games to play them legally cost hundreds of dollars
Right.
to
Yeah.
play. Like if they did the GameCube NSO and added like the Fire Emblem game to it,
Radiant
like that,
Dawn
yeah,
or
like that,
Path of
like
Radiance rather.
yeah, like that'd be insane
Oh yeah. No, that would yeah.
because like you cannot play that without spending $400 or
Right.
downloading it illegally.
Yeah. No,
And so,
video game like companies around the world or like resellers would be in shambles when we see that. So
yeah.
it'd be quite nice. I can't deny that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'll say yes to GameCube. I'll say no to DS. I think it's
Hmm.
possible. I think I'll say no for now. Maybe we see in like a year or two.
Yeah.
I'll say no.
Hmm.
So my next question is, what do you think? So when they announce a new app for NSO, they usually like to show off the games that are
Hmm.
coming when it releases, as well as in the future.
Hmm.
Um, so I want to know like what games you think will be on there to start off with, and maybe what might they might show on like that little like slide
Like
reel.
if they do announce a GameCube NSO and
Yeah,
or DS one,
yeah. Was it?
I
Do
would
you,
say
do you think
for
do you think it's going to be DS or no? What do you think?
if the connectivity thing is for dual screen, then yes.
Okay. So then, yeah,
Because that's the only thing besides Wii U ports, which they've already done Wii U ports without it. So that's really
right,
the only thing why I would see them doing that is potentially for
sure.
that feature. But
Hmm.
if it's not with the connectivity thing, then I say not likely for the DS.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Um,
So yeah, what do
yeah,
you think
so
for GameCube though? I'm
yeah, for
curious.
GameCube, um, it's not going to be Mario Sunshine because we already have a port of that. Um, so I just don't see them doing that. I would say potentially the it'd be really cool if it was Double Dash. Like that that would be my number one is Double
Yeah,
Dash.
yeah.
Um and I don't think it would be uh Wind Waker or Twilight Princess just because of like there already being a remake of that and that I feel like that's definitely something that they plan on porting is like the HD remake of that. Um so I don't think that would be
Yeah.
um but maybe I'm trying to think like, there's not really another what was the only other Zelda on there besides because yeah there was when Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask but that's already
Well,
for
that
the
was part of like the
64 one.
collection I did. Yeah,
Yeah, so that doesn't really count. I mean there was like what though it's like Four Swords Adventure or something.
yeah, that was on
What is
there.
that? But that's would also be part of one of the other NSOs. So I would say maybe like if they don't remake the, you know, Twilight Princess or bring the HD port, then potentially. Um, but I would say maybe a Kirby game that would probably be
Like Kirby's Era, right? Maybe. Like, what are you thinking?
yeah, like
Okay,
that I would see because they haven't done a ton of like Kirby ports.
right.
So yeah, I would say like Double Dash, Kirby game, um, either a Star Fox or F-Zero.
Okay, yeah, it could be like
If they did,
F-Zero
if
GX or Star
yeah,
Fox
if they did,
Adventures. Yeah,
yeah, I would say those four probably the biggest. Because I'm trying to think if they then go into just completely third party and obviously the Fire Emblem that'd be cool, but I
right.
don't, I'm not super like, oh, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, and then they're gonna add Shrek, Smash, and Dash
Okay.
2. Shrek, Smash, and Dash 2. Um, these are all racing games. It's Mario Kart. It's gonna be Kirby Star Riders. It's gonna be
Air Ride.
yeah, or Air Ride. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, F-Zero, Shrek, Smash, and Dash 2. And Sonic Adventures 2. They're gonna add Sonic Adventures.
I mean, I would love that. Actually that could happen. Actually, you mentioned I could see that.
Yeah.
So that is certainly an interesting list. I agree with some of those actually.
Mhm.
I have 9 games written here. I think
Okay.
5 will come out the day that they release it. Because if you
Mhm.
remember, the GBA only came out with 6 games, so I don't think it will actually have that many games on it at launch.
Yeah.
Because clearly Nintendo, I think Nintendo knows at this point they can just drip feed these as slow as they want, and people will still eat it up. So like,
Mhm.
who cares how many they release? Um, so I have 9 games here. I think they'll have 5 at launch. I think they will be as follows. I think they'll have a Wind Waker because listen, I thought that direct last week, that was their last chance to report those games. I feel like if they weren't going to do it then, I don't think they're going to do it for
Uh-huh.
a long time. I feel like that was the obvious time to do it. They didn't do it. So
Mm.
um, I don't think those are coming anytime soon. So I think having Movie Maker on there makes sense. Um, and beyond that, I think Luigi's Mansion 1 will be on there.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's a good one.
I think we'll see Mario Sunshine because if you remember
Really?
when they released the N64 NSO app, that came less than a year after they released Mario 3D All-Stars, which of course had 64 on it to begin with anyway.
Oh
And so
yeah, it did do that.
yeah, so clearly
Yeah.
that was on issue for N64, so I don't think there'll be an issue for this one with
Yes, sir.
Sunshine.
Right.
And so I think we'll see Sunshine. And I also think we're going to see Metro Prime 2 because they're not going to ever remake that. Not that I think they really need to, but people were
Uh-huh.
thought about that happening, never happened. Don't think we're going to see it at this point.
Hmm.
And then also we're going to see Smash Bros. Melee. Um,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
as I think
Yeah.
that is like the cornerstone of the GameCube. I feel like it would get people like hyped up as it was a brand new game. And I think ultimately it would be a great way to kind of sell this
Mm.
new GameCube NSO pack. There's something else I want to mention actually, real quick, is do you think, assuming this does get announced, do you think this will be a part of the expansion pass, or do you think it'll be a whole new tier to get these GameCube games?
Um, I would say expansion pass.
Okay. Why is the Care Bears movie recommended? That was crazy. All right, we're playing the Care Bears movie now. Um, so I
Is this legal?
oh yeah, good point actually. Maybe it's not. Hold on. I did not consider that.
I mean, it's
Sorry,
on
Care
YouTube.
Bears, you
It's
don't
on
get a free
YouTube.
shout out.
What's that? Put on a professor game.
Um, but yeah, I think I tend to agree. I wouldn't be shocked to see it have another tier for GameCube. The only reason I don't think they would do it is because I don't think it'd make a lot of sense to have a whole new tier just for GameCube by itself. Um,
Mm.
and I don't know what else they would add to that to make it worthwhile. So I feel like for that reason, like the only way I think it makes sense is if they also have some other like thing included, or maybe you get like smaller titles for free, like akin to like PS Plus on PS5. And they include those as part of this like newer tier. But I don't think they're gonna do that. So definitely not at launch anyway. So I don't see that happening. So yeah, I think it's part of the expansion pass. I think you're right. Um,
Mm.
so I would go with that. Um, so then as for future releases, I have four more games. I think they'll, of course, they won't give a release date for any of these. They'll just be whenever they feel like releasing them. I think we're gonna get Twilight Princess, of course, since we're in Wind Waker. I think Twilight Princess will come in the future. I think we'll get Paper Mario 2. I think even though we got the remake for that last year, I think ultimately it's still something they could release and people will be excited for it. So why
Mm.
not? I think we're gonna get Double Dash because
Yeah.
that is a fantastic GameCube game. I think people would love to see it.
The best Mario Kart
I agree. Yes. I think the only reason we're not getting it at launch for GameCube is because it would be competing potentially with Mario Kart
with the
9.
new, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do that. So I think they'll wait.
It makes
And then
sense.
lastly, I think we'll get Animal Crossing. I think Animal Crossing for GameCube will be on there at some point.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Because the Animal Crossing one is just the Japanese N64
N64
one,
one,
right?
Animal Forest,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say that I forgot to mention um one that I think would be insanely cool is uh the two Pokemon games that came on GameCube.
Oh yeah, Coliseum and XD.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
DX.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, no, it was XD. XD Gilligan.
I
Yeah.
thought it was DX. Oh
No.
no, no, yeah, that's right. No, that's I'm thinking of Sonic.
Yeah.
Um yeah,
Um,
because those are like some of the I think those are the two like coolest Pokemon games.
I agree. Yeah, actually, I did consider those. But I still think it's weird how we haven't gotten any mainline Pokemon games on the current NSO systems. So I was a bit hesitant to put them on there. The only ones they've gotten, I think, up to this point have been like the stadium games, I think pinball, and then we got one Mr. Dungeon game, all
Yeah, I mean, but
spin-offs.
I would say with them doing Stadium, I feel like that, even though Stadium's only battling, that
Yeah,
still was definitely like a precursor to Coliseum
right.
in terms of like 3D Pokemon and like the battling
Yeah,
kind of
on a main
feel.
console. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
because that's another one of those games that costs like $150 to play on
right.
GameCube,
Hmm.
and it's also like it's a complete unique mainline Pokemon game that has very different mechanics, but it has like a really fun story
Mhm.
and gameplay, and
I agree.
I think that would be really cool. But
Oh yeah, I think it'd
yeah,
be fantastic. Yeah, I mean the fact the fact alone that it was only double battles, which is a cool idea, and I think
Mm.
it would be really cool to see that come back. So I hope we see that. That'd be great. I have such little faith, but if it did,
yeah. I
I'd
mean,
be
my
happy.
only other game would be maybe like Resident Evil 4.
Uh-huh.
Um, or I don't think they'd put on the um whatever it's called, Metal Gear Solid. I don't think
Oh yeah, yeah,
they would put on there.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think they would do Pikmin, just because of what they're
I
making
think it's
stuff, but I don't
possible,
know.
but I think it's unlikely. I mean, they literally ported the games over from GameCube like what, a year or two ago. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But then so if there is a DS and or well, let's do DS first and then maybe 3DS.
Um,
Um, because I definitely think they would still if they do DS, they would do 3DS because it's like no one's gonna be like, oh, I can't do the 3D. It's like you didn't use it in the first place. So,
Sure. Okay.
um,
Yeah.
so what do you think for let's start with DS. What do you think for DS would be?
So I don't have a list written down admittedly, so I'll think top of my head.
Mhm.
I think first one that comes to mind, I would probably say would be like probably like New Super Mario Bros. DS. I feel like that's
Mhm.
just kind of like a popular DS game. And I think it's probably the worst New Super Mario Bros. Games. I feel like it's still a game people like, and those mini games are still a meme to this day. So why not
Uh-huh.
include them in some capacity? Um,
Yeah.
I'm conflicted if I think Mario Kart DS will be on.
I would
I
say that I think so. If there was, I think just because that's like it's like it's like more of a niche
mhm.
Mario Kart
Yeah,
that like the people that like love that game would be so hyped for that, and everyone else would be like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
right.
Like I'll play it for a little bit,
Hmm.
but it's like that's cool. Like no
Yeah,
one's
I
gonna be
agree.
upset with that pick.
No, of course not. Yeah, I mean it's still a popular game.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, see, it's tricky. It's like you said before. Yeah, like one of the biggest draw for the DS is Pokemon. Like I think
Yeah,
I forget how many it is, but I want to say like five of the top 10 selling DS games are
yeah.
Pokemon games. So
Hmm.
it's like, without those, it just feels like an empty shell of what it could be.
Hmm.
So it's hard to think of like what they could possibly do. Maybe they could do like Animal Crossing Wild World, I guess. Maybe we see that. Um, um, they could do that'd be interesting. Super Mario 64 has a DS version that,
The DS the DS port of it
yeah,
on
that game had mixed reception in terms of people liked it or
maybe,
not.
I guess.
But I think it was still a game that sold well enough where they might consider bringing it back.
I
Um,
guess.
I think it'd be cool to see the other Mystery Dungeon games. We of course got Red Rescue Team on GBA, but that was I think the only one that came out on GBA and then Blue Rescue Team. So, maybe a game like Explorers of Time, Explorers of Darkness. That would be really cool. Could see that potentially. Um, Maybe we see the Zelda games like Phantom Hourglass,
Mhm.
and Spirit Tracks. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Um, I think those would come later on, though. I don't think they get those at launch.
Hmm.
One other thing we could get at launch that'd be really cool, actually, I just thought of. One of my favorite games of all time is Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story and or maybe Partners in Time.
Hmm.
Um, Bowser's Inside Story is a fantastic game. I think everyone should play. It's amazing. And with no like clear RPGs on the horizon, maybe that's a good way to like fill a gap. Um, and then Partners in Time is a decent game. It's not great, but it's all right. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Um, that's all I can think on top of my head. Other than like, obviously we could see like Professor Layton. We could see uh
Castlevania games, there's a bunch on there.
Castlevania. That'd be really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, maybe like a Mario versus Donkey Kong game.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of Kirby game. Like it could be some random
Kirby.
Kirby
Yeah,
game.
Squeeze
It could
Squad would
be
be cool. Yeah, I'd love to see
yeah,
that.
it could be GeForce.
GeForce.
Yeah, I played a GeForce game on I think I got stuck on like the first level.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's a or you know what would actually be kind of fi the DS ports of Call of Duty.
So that's it's funny you mentioned that. 'Cause I actually have a prediction on Call of Duty later on, but but I don't
Because
think they'll do that. That'd be hilarious.
those games like looking back, yeah, they suck, but I
Yeah,
remember playing Modern Warfare 3 on my DS. Granted, it's not like Modern Warfare 3 on the consoles at all.
no,
But it was kind of cool being like, whoa, I could play Modern Warfare 3 on my DS.
no way.
And
Yeah,
so I feel like that'd be a cool port of just like just to play it and be like, man, like man, this sucks. But like
right.
but it's a fun kind of sucks.
Hmm.
It's a fun suck. Um, but yeah, I would say what you said is probably like if they did like only two like one or two Pokemon DS games, I think like either Black and White one or two, um, or I don't think they would do um Diamond and Pearl or Platinum, um, but I would also love like Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Yeah, I would love all of them. I just have
Yeah.
once again, I just have such little faith I'll actually do it
It'd be
until I
funny though
see it.
if they only did Diamond and Pearl but not Platinum.
That'd be kind of hilarious. At that point, you have to think that they just know that
They just don't like
they,
Platinum.
yeah, they just
Um,
know. Like
yeah, oh
what?
yeah, yeah. I mean, there could be a bunch of other things. Like there's um, like I know there's like some Rhythm Heavens and
Yeah.
a bunch of rhythm games.
The
There's like
other,
the Animal Crossing.
right. Yeah, the only other big ones that come to mind instantly is like they could do like Nintendogs. That was big on the DS. Um,
Mhm.
now I think that'd be cool to see that series come back because we haven't seen a new game in that series in a long time.
Uh-huh.
And then lastly, and this actually could connect back to the GameCube, is we could see Mario Party DS. I didn't mention Mario Party 4, 5, 6, or 7 on GameCube. I
Mhm.
think it's possible we could see some of those
Oh
maybe.
yeah, because those are on the 64 one, the 64 and
Exactly.
7.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
my only hesitancy comes in the fact that we didn't get 1, 2, and 3 until like I think over a year after the N64 one came out. So I don't think we want to rush to
Yeah.
do those so soon, but maybe.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Um,
I think we'll get those eventually. I feel like it makes too much sense. So
mhm. Yeah. And then if they do a DDS at some point there would probably be a 3DS. And like I would say the answer for that are probably the same with DS in terms of
similar.
like the Mario Kart, the Zeldas. Um, like it would be for some random with the Pokemons. There would be an Animal Crossing probably at some
Yeah,
point,
New
like
Leaf. Yeah.
some sort of Mario.
Yeah.
I would say
Birdie Land, Mario Bros. 2.
yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
cool if then there was like the Fire Emblem games for that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Awakening and Echoes would be amazing. They can't leave Fates, but the other two I would love.
yeah, but but it would be like Link Between Worlds or something like
Right.
that for like the Zelda.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah,
But
I'll be
yeah,
honest, I actually have little faith they're gonna do 3DS if anything, only because I feel like they still think they can port those games over individually and sell them for $60. That's what they've
hmm
been doing for quite a few 3DS games. Like we just recently got Luigi's Mansion 2. Um, and so I
hmm
feel like we won't see that quite yet. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe it came sometime down the line. Because yeah, there are still a lot of 3DS games that could definitely use on their port, I feel like, because there's a lot of great games that have never been re-released.
yeah.
But I feel like we won't see that tomorrow. I feel like that's something I feel like we could see almost like as an N64 thing where it comes like 4 or 5 years later.
Mhm.
Um, because to spoil a future prediction, I still feel confident we're getting Icarus Uprising as well, which of course is a 3DS game in and of itself. So like, why don't they
Do you
remake
think
it?
they're gonna announce new games tomorrow that we already don't know about?
Like brand new games?
Yeah, cause like they
Yeah,
haven't
of course.
explicitly said Mario Kart 9, but they showed a like gameplay of one that is very obviously not 8.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
even though they haven't explicitly said this is Mario Kart 9, it's like it's Mario Kart 9.
Yeah.
And like we know Prime 4 is probably gonna like they're probably gonna talk about that tomorrow. But do you
Yeah.
think that they're gonna
Well,
announce a new game that we know absolutely nothing about tomorrow.
100%. I actually there's gonna be quite a few, and I guess we yeah, that's a
Okay.
good transition. We can talk about those now. So, also we can start talking about Mario Kart and Metroid Prime, because
Yeah.
obviously those are the only two games we know for sure exist that are gonna be
Yeah,
there.
and like those are 100% going to be launch titles.
Um,
I
I
think.
I agree with Mario Kart. Metroid Prime, I'm a bit hesitant about now, and I'll explain why in a second, but I think it's still possible, and I hope it is certainly. So we'll see.
Okay.
With Mario Kart though, I think it's interesting because yeah, obviously this is the only Switch 2 game we've actually seen in any
Huh.
capacity. Metroid Prime is sold, and I'm a Switch 2 game confirmed as of now. So I'll be curious to see how much they actually cover that game. But in terms of Mario Kart, I think it will be shown for sure. I think it will be a launch day title for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
So the thing I want to talk about mostly is just the game itself, which is like, what do you think it will look like? How, like, what do you think the gimmick will be of this game? Um, do you think like how do you think it'll be different, basically? And so I'll
Hmm.
ask you that first. Like, how do you think this game will be different?
I do think they'll keep the same kind of thing from 8 of like there's like the flying parts and like the anti-gravity wheel parts.
Yeah,
Um, because I don't really see a thing in like them needing to get rid of that. They definitely aren't doing something double dash style because we would have seen that on like the carts, like you would have seen two people on there.
right.
So I would say there's not going to be much of a difference from 8. Um, Probably just, the real thing would just be all the new tracks, pretty
Mhm.
much. Maybe so, they're creative. They could probably think of some cool gimmick that's very specific to this, but I think I think just it just being a new Mario Kart is enough for it to become a bestseller.
100%.
Just calling it Mario Kart 9 and
So do
everyone
you, do
goes,
you, you think we
"Ooh."
call it Mario Kart 9, or do you have like some sub name?
Um, yeah, I would say probably 9
Hmm.
if they because yeah, that's really all they because they called it 8, they called it 7 on the 3DS.
Right.
They haven't had a gimmick name since
Mario Kart Wii. Yeah.
yeah, and so
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be Mario Kart 9 too. I think it's just the easiest way to do it for them. Because it messages clearly it's a new Mario Kart.
yeah.
And yeah, that's all I really need to do. So yeah, I feel like so I admit I'm actually not sure. I thought about this for a little bit this morning. I could not think of what I think this new gimmick will actually be for this game. Because, ultimately that's, I guess that's what separates me from like the game developers of the world is I just can't think of stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, to me, the big thing to do with this game is like Mario Kart 8 is the best-selling Switch game ever, and is one of the top
Yeah.
five best-selling games of all time. So it is clearly a game that, is
Yeah.
very popular, one of their best IPs, if
Yeah.
not their
I
best.
mean, the numbers are definitely skewed a little bit due to them basically selling it with every console.
Right. Yeah, it was
So
a
like
packing game after a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing with like Wii Sports.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
like it's like yes, well,
All right. We're back. Computer died. Oops. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
so
come
for
on, man.
for for Mario Kart, yeah, listen, I'm sorry, bro. So for Mario Kart 9, I think the biggest thing they need to do is just like make it clear why you should buy this game. Because Mario Kart 8 was such a high selling game, it's like, some people I'm sure will look at this game and go, well, it plays on Switch 2. It's filled to the brim with content and it's a great game, so why would I buy this new one? And I feel like that is how they're going to like focus on this game is just make it clear why you want to buy it, like why it's interesting and different. Um, so that's
Maybe it's
ultimately
got
what
like
I'm looking at.
maybe it just has like a cool story mode.
A cool story mode. That'd be kind of
Hmm.
crazy, actually. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna lie. We haven't really had much like because back on Mario Kart Wii and I think Mario Kart DS too, those two games had like little like mission modes, I think, that you could do. I remember those were like kind of cool, actually. I don't remember how popular they were, but I actually remember thinking they were pretty fun. So I wouldn't mind seeing something like along those lines again, if they feel like doing that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, and then as for Metroid Prime 4, so like I mentioned earlier, but yeah, I'm wavering on what I think in terms of like how much you're gonna show in that game. I do think it'll be here if anything because they still have to show the release date, because like we said last week, we did not think they were gonna have the release date in that last direct, and they did not. So I think it'll have to be here in some capacity. But I I don't know. That last direct made me nervous because I was under the impression, as I think a lot of people were, that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be one of their huge pushes for the beginning of the Switch's life or Switch 2's life. Even if it wasn't a release day game, like I imagined it was going to be like a huge push for Nintendo and continue the momentum that Metroid's kind of been gathering over the last few years with Dread and Prime Remastered and all that. But the fact that it was not like the one more thing in the last direct over Tomodachi Life definitely concerns me a little bit because and no disrespect to Tomodachi Life, it's a great series. But Metroid Prime 4 is, I mean, like that should be one of Nintendo's like A-list series. And ultimately, I feel like the fact that it was kind of thrown in the middle um makes me feel like maybe it isn't as big a push as I thought it was. And
Hmm.
so I actually don't know if I feel like it'll get like a huge segment tomorrow because yeah, I feel like maybe it won't. I don't know. I wonder maybe if they'll be too focused on like other games like Mario Kart or something else entirely. It makes me nervous. I can't lie. I still do feel like this game is a at worst release window. Like I think this game, like assuming this consoles come out in like early June, I still think we'll probably see it by at worst at the end of August. But I don't know. I'm not as confident on the release day as I was before.
Hmm.
Well, because did they say when 4 was? Did they say mid 25, late?
It's just 2025 still, so
So yeah, so that's why like I think it's like it's still potential for it to be a release. Like if they said late, then it's like no. But I
right.
think that's and then if they said like mid 25, then you would probably know that it was a would be like a launch title.
Mhm.
So either it's because they actually don't really have a set date yet, or they wanted to wait to reveal it as a launch title tomorrow.
Sure. And then that might be the case. Otherwise, we still don't know. Like we assume it's going to have a Switch 2 version. Um, but who knows? Like, will it come out day and date? It's hard to say. Because like one another thing that makes me nervous is like the game it doesn't have a rating yet, which like I don't know how long it takes to get ratings like figured out, but I
Hmm.
feel like games usually have like usually games that like you think are coming out soon usually already have a rating, so that's made me a little bit nervous. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think this game is still a launch window. I'd be shocked if it was like the holiday game, but I don't know. I feel like with how long it's taken for this game, the fact that it's not launch day would make me quite sad, but I wouldn't be shocked by it anymore, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess we'll see. Um, Next, so I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about those two games, or you have another
Uh,
prediction, or
no, I mean, no, everything I think I've said.
all right, fair enough. So next, I want to talk about Mario because I
Mm.
think based on what I've seen, it sounds like outside of the two games we already know about, which is Mario Kart 9 and Metroid Prime 4, people seem to be
Odyssey
most
2.
confident in a new Mario game. And I wanted to ask you, so you think it's going to be an Odyssey 2, or what?
I mean, definitely a 3D Mario.
Yeah, of
Um,
course, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's kind of like with 3D Marios, they are all kind of like about the same in movement systems. They just add like a little gimmick basically.
Right.
Like it was Flow, and then it was like
Flood, you
the
mean flood.
gravity thing or Flood, yeah. It was
Yeah.
like and then like the gravity thing, and then it was like the hat.
Yeah.
So like if they do an Odyssey 2, I mean maybe an Odyssey 2. Honestly, I don't really care if it's a sequel or a new. Like I just know I'm gonna buy it and it'll be fun. But
Sure. Yeah, so I actually personally don't think it'll be Odyssey 2 because I feel like if it was, if Odyssey 2 was a thing that existed, I think it would have already come out because we've only gotten a direct sequel to a 3D Mario game once, being of course Galaxy 2. And that game only ever existed because, they infamously had kind of an overflow of ideas from Galaxy 1 that they wanted to put into a game. They want to go to waste.
hmm
So they made a new game on the Wii for all those extra ideas and called it Galaxy 2. Um, and so I feel
Uh-huh.
like if Odyssey 2 was a thing that existed, I feel like it would have been shown or it would have been released on Switch 1. And I feel like for that reason, the evidence seems to point to me that it's a brand new game with a whole new gimmick and new, way of playing. Um, as for what that is, I couldn't tell you. One thing I want to see personally is I hope that this game or I hope that this 3D Mario focuses more on multiplayer. And what I mean by that is like, the Switch obviously is infamous because it comes with two controllers right off the bat. You get two Joy-Cons. Um, and so of course we see a lot of first party Switch 1 games focused on some kind of multiplayer. It'd be like Pokemon letting you have like a friend like help you out in like double battles. Or like even like Pikmin 4, like the second player could play as the dog.
like you want something kind of like a three like a maybe like a 3D world kind of.
Maybe something like that. Like the thing is, like, I'm not sure if I want to be quite as like linear as like 2D feeling as that game was. Because like that was basically a 3D game that played like
Mm.
a 2D game. Um,
Mm.
but I
Was
do
the
think it'd be cool to see like Luigi
was that like
playable.
expanded? Or what was like the expanded part that came on Switch, like the Bowser thing? That was only
Oh,
single
Bowser's
player though, right?
Fury.
Yeah, that was only single
Yeah,
player, right?
yeah, it was. Well, yes and no. So there was a like second player you could add in, but all they did was play as like Bowser Jr., which was just like kind of
Uh,
like an assist mode. It wasn't like a real two
yeah,
player.
kind of like
Um,
how technically Odyssey is multiplayer,
yeah, exactly.
where you
Yeah.
play the hat. Just
Yes. Yeah, and it's like that's
uh,
lame. Yeah. So
mhm,
I hope that they focus more on like multiplayer stuff. Like make Luigi
mhm,
playable and have it be like a Mario and Luigi game maybe, but like a 3D
mhm,
Mario. Um
mhm.
Man, in terms of the gameplay itself, I'm happy you brought up Bowser's Fury because I actually think Bowser's Fury was maybe kind of like their way of like testing the waters in terms of like what the future of Mario might be. And because Bowser's Fury was a great add-on to 3D World. Actually, a lot of people say it's better than 3D World. I don't know if I personally think it's quite that good, but it was a great like idea. And I think if it had been like expanded upon, it could have been a
Yeah.
fantastic like standalone game.
Mhm.
So
I bought it, but I've never played it.
really, it's really good. I
I
recommend it.
never played it.
It's fantastic. Um, but yeah, I actually think like because like it basically what that game was a way of experimenting with open world Mario. That's what it was. And
Mhm.
I think ultimately that's what Mario's future could be. And I think it could be really good. It was cool like surfing around those various islands with the levels on them and collecting the star. What were they? Were they stars in that game? I don't remember. There was some collectible you're getting. Um,
In what game?
Bowser's Fury. I don't remember what it
Oh, well,
was.
I don't know.
I forget the actual level it was, but whatever it was cool like running around collecting those on the various islands, across the giant like body of water. I don't know what you call that area, but it was cool. And I think having it be like a like more fleshed out, bigger thing would actually make for a great game. And I think that's potentially what we may not see out of this game in terms of like how it plays. So I look forward to seeing that certainly. I think if that was what it was, it'd be a great game. So I'm excited for it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I don't know you imagined, but you said Aussie too.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah, but it's just like the thing with Mario is that it's always there's some sort of new kind of gimmick to it. Like it's always the same core with just a new, like maybe slightly adjusted movement system to accommodate the new gimmick. And
mhm,
then that's the same with 2D and 3D. So, I mean, it's like, the story isn't like a huge part of Mario usually.
right.
Like the most they probably went into like an actual storyline for the 3D Mario's probably Galaxy,
Yes,
but like 64 it's just defeat Bowser.
right.
Like Odyssey it's uh explore the world and and save Princess Peach.
Hmm.
And so, like, no one's really expecting like a big story. It's mainly just they just want a fun 3D platformer. So as long as the mechanics are fun, I don't care
Right.
if it's Odyssey 2, if it's Mario Time Machine, but 3D and good.
Sure.
Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all
Um,
Mario's ever really needed to be. Yeah, just like as
yeah.
long as the gameplay is fun, the rest is usually kind of like, they can figure it out, So,
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so when do you think this game will come out? I've seen a few people predict this game as a release window game. I personally don't think it'll be release window. Um, but I don't think it's gonna be too long after. My prediction was October. I think this was like
Mm.
other than Pokemon, I think it's like the big holiday title. So I'm leaning
Yeah,
October.
I would say that like Mario definitely would be yeah, because right Odyssey was how long after Switch was it just
It was also October, so it was about
Mhm.
7 months later, I believe.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
mhm. And I don't yeah, I would say because we probably would have heard maybe a little bit of something, but I don't know. There definitely isn't usually leaks at all when it comes to Mario and Zelda,
Hmm.
just because those are the ones that they really hold strong to. So I'd say really anything's possible with
Right.
those IPs, but
Yeah, I agree.
uh yeah. But then I guess so you then think that do you think there's gonna be anything about Zelda tomorrow?
So I actually went back and forth on this. So as I already
Mhm.
mentioned earlier, I don't think we're getting the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD remakes anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't think, I think those are dead in the water at this point.
Yeah. I guess
Um,
I'm saying a new
a
Zelda
brand new
3D Zelda.
game.
Yeah.
I
A
think
new
if
game.
if
Like
we
mhm.
did, it'd be a very, very light tease. I don't think it'd be anything more than
Mhm.
like, something akin to like the 2019 Tears of the Kingdom trailer, where it's really like 30 seconds or less, doesn't really show anything of note.
Yeah.
Basically just confirming the game's in development, basically.
Mhm.
And that'd be it. Because
Yeah.
obviously, because like the biggest reason to believe it might happen is because it was 2 years after Breath of the Wild came out that they showed off Tears of the Kingdom for the first time. It's been 2 years since Tears of the Kingdom now. Maybe they're ready to show off the game, at least exists.
Yeah. And we know
Um,
that we know that they're definitely making one because they didn't do DLC for Tears of the Kingdom,
mhm,
which yeah, that would indicate that like no, they're done like they think the game's perfect. They're done with it. They want to make
right.
the new game.
Yeah.
So,
So in terms of my like firm prediction, I lean personally no. I don't think we're gonna get a brand new Zelda. I think it's maybe a little bit too soon. I think that's something that we might see like in the next like direct, like post launch. But I think
mhm,
it's too soon. I think there's gonna be too many other like big time titles here to where Zelda is something they can save for another time. Um,
mhm,
so I would lean no, but I would not be shocked. I think it's possible we could see a light tease.
mm. Would you I mean do you think maybe a new like 2D or they have done a lot of like the chibi kind of style like how um like with the game where you play as Zelda
Yeah.
like that kind of style
Um,
which like you
yeah,
think because it seems like they like that kind of
yes.
style with like the 2D make it a 3D game but it's plays 2D.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got one of those at some point. I don't know if I
Mhm.
think it'll be this soon because I mean Echoes of Wyndham is not even 6 months old yet. Um, or it's about 6 months old now, I think. So I think it's a little bit too soon for the one quite yet. But like I mentioned last time, I think a Link Between Worlds port from 3DS is a thing that will happen at some point. So I feel like that's something that's definitely gonna happen, but maybe not tomorrow. Um, I feel like that could be like a next year thing, maybe even. But I don't
Mhm.
think it'll be tomorrow. I think if we do get anything Zelda related, um, well, I do have a prediction for that. That's actually like my big like one last thing like huge prediction. I don't want to say it yet, but
Hmm.
I think if this
It's going to be a CDI Zelda
exactly
yeah
yes
the CDI games ported over.
exactly.
Mhm.
So remind me. So do you think there's gonna be a new Zelda announced like brand new like tease like what's your
Most
stance?
I agree with you on the thing kind of like with Tears of the Kingdom how it was like the little 30-second trailer
Yeah.
a little thing to give you some goosebumps, and that's it.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and then Miyamoto will be like, "That's a new game in progress.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it. Bye." And then you won't hear from him for 2 years
Sure.
because
Yeah.
he'll be in his dungeon making the game nonstop. And so
Exactly. Yeah. He'll be committed to the grind, as it were.
yeah,
Yeah.
but so yeah, do
So you think
you
yes or
I'll say yes, but
okay.
nothing like
Crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing crazy.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Mhm.
Next thing I want to ask you, so next I actually have a little bit of a, I don't want to say, I don't want to call it like a lightning round, but I have three
Mhm.
games here that I have seen various people mention could be here in some
Yeah.
capacity. I
Okay.
think
What
they
are
all have, I honestly think they're all like borderline like coin flips in terms of like if they actually will be here or not.
hmm
So I wanted to bring them up and at least see what you think.
hmm
First one is Animal Crossing. Do you think there will be a new Animal Crossing tomorrow?
No.
I agree. I think no. I do think there's one coming the next probably year or two. Like I think that's gonna be like that's another game that we might see like in the next direct
Yeah.
because New Horizons was shockingly not updated as much as it should have been. Like there still feels like a lack of content there in terms of like
Yeah.
number of
And
shops and things you can do in the game.
yeah, and plus with Tomodachi Life 2 coming out where that's like an Animal Crossing like
Sure.
I feel like it's not like a huge concern of
Hmm.
them to come out with that right now. And plus I've heard Hello Kitty Island Adventures is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they don't want to step on Hello Kitty's toes
No,
or
yeah,
paws.
don't disrespect Hello Kitty like that. I agree.
hmm
Next up, Splatoon 4. Do you think we'll see Splatoon 4?
Mm, yeah, I didn't I have never well I've played a tiny bit of Splatoon on like someone else's console, but like
Yeah.
I've only played a little bit of it. I don't know how well 3 did. I think it did okay. I think it did pretty good, right?
It
In
was
terms of
fine. Yeah,
sales.
I don't think it did quite as good as 2, but it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know if they want to maybe like continue with that because if they do, I feel like it would need to be something drastic, like a big change. Because I feel like the formula is kind of a bit old already. Um, like there's not a ton of I guess you would say pull to the series.
Hmm.
And so I would say I'll go ahead and say no. I don't think they're gonna have a uh a Splatoon tomorrow.
I think I agree. I'm a little bit more on the fence about that one because they've shown they clearly are able to kind of just like crank out these Splatoon games. So I
hmm
wouldn't be shocked if it was announced tomorrow, even if it doesn't come out until like maybe like earlier next year. Um,
hmm
but I would lean no. I think it's a little bit too soon. The DLC for Splatoon 3, I think, only wrapped up a little over a year ago now, so I don't think it's quite time, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think it's possible.
hmm
Um, Last one is Smash Bros. Do we think we're gonna see Smash Bros. In any capacity here?
I don't think so. Just
Hmm.
because I feel like if there was ever going to be something Smash Bros, it would have its own direct. Um, because I think that is like when it comes to direct, that is the most like hyped thing,
Hmm.
direct wise. And plus, I don't know if we heard anything about like if he's trying to develop a new one
Sakurai?
or yeah,
Yeah,
just because I know that he said that like he does want to do another Smash.
right.
But the big thing, is the IPs.
Hmm.
Because I would say you would probably want to try to get a bunch of new characters in instead of trying to get a bunch of the old ones back again.
Right.
Because it's like, he was obviously very open about like this is never going to happen again with like all these characters.
Right.
Like it's just not like it's like a miracle that they even got the rights to use all of them this time.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'm like I feel like there obviously will be a Smash on the console, but I don't think we're gonna hear anything about it tomorrow. I don't think there's even gonna be a hint. I would say Sakurai would probably come up, but probably not even mention Smash.
Right. Yeah, I definitely can see that. So this actually is out of the three, this actually is the one I think is yes. I think we will see Smash Bros. I don't think it's going to be a brand new one though. And this is going to be like kind of like a larger point. But I actually think this is going to be one of the games. If you remember last week during the Direct, they did not flat out say it out loud, but if you read through some of the little text at the bottom, during some of the things they showed. I think in particular the game sharing thing they did, there they talked about like the virtual game cards.
Yeah.
They actually did confirm that they're going to be switched to editions of certain games. I think
Uh,
Smash Ultimate is going to be one of those games. And the reason I
uh-huh.
think that is because Smash Ultimate, as we all know, is a game that is, as you just said, extremely impressive in terms of the amount of content and the characters in the game. And I
Mhm.
think that is something that they know is truly impressive and honestly is one of a kind in terms of just how special it is to have
Mhm.
that kind of content all in the same game. I do
Yeah.
not think they want to let that go so soon. I think they want to get as much mileage out of it as they possibly can. So I
Mhm.
think we're going to see maybe even a deluxe version. We're going to see Smash Ultimate as a Switch 2 game. Maybe it's a deluxe version that has all the DLC included, and then maybe, dare I say, even includes extra content, maybe like another character or two, maybe Smash Run, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
You think like maybe like a new short story kind of thing?
I would love that too. I did not think about that, but I would love to see it. Um, but yeah, I
Hmm.
think ultimately, I think Smash Ultimate is just too good to let go. So yeah, like you said, the next Smash Bros. Game is going to probably be a reboot of some kind. It's not going to be as impressive as Ultimate was. And not only that, I feel like the next Smash Bros. Is still a year or two off at least because Smash Ultimate has not been done for that long, like what, 2 years? Maybe two and a half. So I think there's still time they can get some mileage out of Smash Ultimate. And not only that, but there's also the fact that I don't believe this is actually Sakurai's game he's working on. I think he might be involved in this Smash Bros. Game, but I think he's working on something else. And so I feel like this is a Bandai Namco made game, and ultimately I feel like that would be more up their alley to kind of just improve upon the current game rather than try to make a new one from scratch. So I think we're going to see Smash Ultimate as a Switch 2 edition game, and it will come out not long after the Switch 2 is. I'm thinking maybe July or August. I think it'll be pretty soon after.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that kind of goes to like a larger point, which is Switch 2 editions of games. So I have a few I thought
Yeah.
of that I think would be on there. Outside of Smash Bros, the two ones I thought that were obvious. There's Metro Prime 4, which I think we all assume that's kind of a Switch 2 version. I'd be shocked if it didn't. Um, but the other two I thought of were Breath of the Wild, because we already know that game was apparently what they used to kind of showcase the Switch 2's like 4K capabilities to like to third parties. So I believe that would be something they would do because they already have kind of credence of having that game further developed. And then I think they will also do Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think that's because that game is still pretty new. I think it's a game that could use maybe another like the game looks pretty good on
Do
Switch
you
1. Go ahead.
do you think that it'll be like because what had the way it is on like Xbox and PlayStation is if you have the Xbox One or PS4 version, even if you have the disc, you can buy like the
An upgrade.
upgrade. Yeah,
Right.
to not have to pay for the whole new game. It's like usually like
Yeah,
a $10 or $20 upgrade. Do
correct.
you think that would be something similar for this or
I would obviously appreciate if they did that. I would definitely prefer it.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I think they're going to do it because I think what they're going to probably do is I think for some, if not maybe even dare I say all of these games, they're going to try to justify charging full price for it again because I think they're going to try and push the fact that it's so graphically improved, maybe even has more content in the game, in each of
Mhm.
the games.
Right.
Um,
Because we do know that you
and
can already play the Switch 1 games, but I guess they haven't said specifically if it's going to be like all games, like the eShop is going to be the same, and like, or if it'll
right.
maybe be like, there's like a list of like games that they have like configured to play
Hmm.
on it like separately, kind of like how like with Xbox, like you can play almost every, like you can play every Xbox One game, you can play almost every 360 game,
Right.
but then there's like not as much for like Xbox, and there's still some missing 360 games. Like, do you
Hmm.
think it'll be like that, or
Um, I I don't think they're quite that good, no. I'd be surprised if we saw like multiple generations back. And even beyond that, I feel like I said, I mean, Nintendo has shown a lot of their hand in the sense that they have re-released games that are very, very how
yeah?
should I
Well,
say
no,
it?
I mean more like, do you think every Switch game will be available like
Um,
how every Xbox One and PS4 game can be played no problem
yes, yeah,
on the new
any game
one?
that's on the eShop right now, I think will be available
You
on
think?
the next
Okay.
eShop because I think that and the Switch library is one of the best in gaming. There's no way they're going to get rid of that easily. Like they're just that they wouldn't do that, I don't think.
hmm
So I think it'd be foolish to restart from scratch. So I
Well,
think no.
speaking of what's on screen, do you think there's going to be a Switch 2 like upgrade version of Skyrim?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think there has to be,
Yeah,
honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like I think it's just a rite of passage now that like it's like if there isn't Skyrim, I'll be sad. I'm not going to play it
Yeah,
if it when it's added. But if there isn't, I'll be sad if there
right.
isn't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I mean, Skyrim's still a really popular game, so I feel like by nature they would probably at least consider it. And that actually brings
Mhm.
another point that I can mention right now. We can go into third parties here for a bit.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. What do you think there's going to be any announced
so
tomorrow with it
yeah,
or?
I actually I have a lot of third parties listed here, and we can go through them kind of
Oh,
like rapid fire in a bit. But I want to start by
okay.
mentioning I think there's going to be a like most directs, especially like the really good ones
hmm
typically go through these kind of like sizzle reels where they show off like a bunch of games in a row, maybe of smaller significance or value. Um,
hmm
and I think they're going to do that again. However, I think it's going to be games that maybe are big name games, so maybe games that already are on Switch 1, or maybe aren't going to be a notable improvement on Switch 2, but they're still games they want to talk
Uh-huh.
about because they're still important. Um,
Yeah.
so in that list, I have a few games here. I think
hmm
first of all, I think they're going to have the following: Minecraft, Rocket League,
Okay. Yeah.
Fortnite, and Fall Guys. I think all four of those games are going to be in the sizzle reel. And I think the big reason they're going to highlight those games is because none of those games, especially the latter three, um, none of them run very well on Switch. I mentioned earlier how there's some games
Uh,
that run at like 15, 20 frames a
oh
second.
yeah. I've never played those.
Well, don't because they're terrible. And I think like I mentioned earlier, the big thing they want to I think push on the Switch 2 is how impressive of a jump up it is in terms of the technical side of things. And
Um,
I think showing those games as popular and as big as they are, showing those games running smooth and well would do a lot because ultimately right now, I mean, the only people that play games like Fortnite and Fall Guys on the Switch 1 are
Or the
people who
people
don't have
who
any other
only,
option.
yeah, who only have that.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you own an Xbox, PS5, or PC, you're playing on one of those, or even, even Steam Deck. So
Yeah.
people are going to want to, people are going to be excited to see those games running well
hmm
on a Nintendo console. I think that will be a big push.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good one. That makes sense for like a
yeah,
little like something where like they're not gonna go into depth of it. It's just gonna be like a little thing that says like play your like all like play your favorites like on
yeah,
the new and then the sizzle reel of that. Yeah, that makes sense.
right.
I
Yeah.
like that.
I put loosely here, I put COD as also part of the sizzle reel. I don't know which COD it would be or if it would be in
Mhm.
this reel necessarily, but
If I would say maybe only if there is COD, I would say only Warzone. I think
Mhm.
that's the only thing that would be there.
I could agree with that, yeah. As I wasn't really sure because I don't think they're gonna go full on like, BO6 or anything.
Hmm.
Um, but I do feel like COD is important enough and could finally come back on Nintendo consoles and actually do well. So
Hmm.
I feel like it would make sense to have it on here in some capacity. Even if it's just Warzone, I think that still be notable. So
Yeah.
I do think COD will be on there in some form. Um, Next up, so now I want to go through like kind of a lightning round, and if you think it will be there, and or if you have something you want to say about it, you can obviously you
Hmm.
can stop me.
Okay.
So I'll just give you like a yes or no for each one.
All right.
Actually, we'll talk about the first one a little bit because I think it's actually kind of important. I think we will see Elden Ring on Switch 2 tomorrow.
Okay. I was thinking that because if that's because yeah, there's um because only Dark Souls Remastered is on Switch.
Yeah.
Uh, not two or three. So I would say if they do Elden Ring, they would probably also do three.
Hmm.
Probably not two because two they don't do anything with two. That's two's kind of in a limbo.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I would say if they do Elden Ring, it would probably also be Dark Souls 3, and I think that would be really cool because I think Elden Ring is, in my opinion, one of the best games ever. Uh, and I think if, like you said, with Zelda, if like they want to showcase a game running, like if they show that Elden Ring like runs well and still looks good, like
yeah,
especially like portably and docked on a Switch too, I think that is a huge seller. So yeah,
I agree.
I would say that would be enough for some people to even buy the Switch
Hmm.
is just for it to play Elden Ring portably because
Yeah.
maybe they were thinking about getting a Steam Deck or something to do that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's one that I think would be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think it will actually be I think it will be a launch title. And I think they're also going to
Mm.
announce that in the future. I don't know if it'll come out. I don't think it'll come out with the Switch 2 when it releases. I don't know if it'll be anytime soon. But I think by the end of this year, maybe, or maybe early next year, we will also get released Night Rain, Elden Ring. I think that will also come to Switch 2 at some point. Um, so I think we'll
Uh,
see both of
uh,
them.
oh
The new
yeah,
one.
the yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Um, Next up, I think we will see Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth announced tomorrow.
Really? But that's a Sony exclusive.
Um, they are not anymore, actually. They're both on PC now, and we
Yeah,
know they
but
run on Steam Deck, so we know they can
I
run on
mean
Switch
that's kind
2.
of like that's like kind of saying like it's not exclusive anymore. It's like on PC, it's like kind of, but that's
Hmm.
like, but if it's not on like Xbox, I still kind of say like it's a console exclusive on PlayStation.
It is.
So I would say I don't expect it, but
Really. See,
I'm gonna say no for that.
okay. I mean, that's fairly fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, I guess Square Enix recently said, I believe it was 6 months ago or so, they are trying to get Final Fantasy more like on other consoles. They don't want it to be PlayStation exclusive anymore, at least forever.
Mm,
You know, they're trying to make it more of a kind of like, less exclusive market, so to speak.
mm,
Um, and I feel like Switch 2, I said we know Switch 2 can run the games because Steam Deck can do it. And I feel like it would be a big get for the Switch 2 because I don't think they're going to get 16 on there. 16 is, I think, a little bit too, needs a little bit too much horsepower. But 7
mhm.
Remake and 7 Rebirth, I think, are, they probably can get that running on there pretty well. So I feel confident those will be there. Because, I mean, like, what else are they going to put on there, Final Fantasy related, if not those? I mean, like, everything else either is already
Yeah,
on there or I think is too intensive.
a
So.
10 remake.
I don't think they would announce that tomorrow if that was a thing. That'd be the next like state of play, probably. That'd be crazy.
10 remake. I want that.
That'd be insane. Okay. Next, I'm going actually no, I'll say yes. I think we are going to see Forza in some capacity tomorrow.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna say at some point, because like there's definitely probably gonna be something Microsoft or
Right.
Xbox, just because
Yeah, I have a few games on here from
they've just
Microsoft.
been yeah because yeah they're very buddy buddy.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say if Forza, I could kind of see that. The only thing is, again with the triggers
Yeah.
being digital, I would say if they are analog, then yes. If they're not, I don't think so. Just because I think they would kind of be like no, we don't want the game on a
Sure.
system with digital control with digital triggers.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
wouldn't be shocked. I think Forza is kind of like, one of those series where I feel like people, it's one of those more like casual series, I feel like, that people
mhm,
kind of just buy. It's like, oh, look at the cars. And, I feel like, like I
mhm.
said, with Microsoft kind of being more willing to have some of these big name IPs on other consoles, I feel like Forza is kind of like one of the natural picks. It's still one of the more relevant franchises these days. It still gets new
You don't think
games.
Halo Infinite?
Well, so that's a good segue. I actually think we will see Halo on Switch too. I think we're going to get the Master Chief Collection on there. I think it will come out day one.
Really?
Yeah.
That if they do, I think if they do, do you then think there would be crossplay with
Um,
Xbox?
yes, I
Because
think so.
has Nintendo ever done
I don't.
'cause- well, I
They
guess
have with some
can
third-party
with
games.
yeah, because you can with Fortnite and Rocket League, I'm pretty sure.
Correct. Yeah, and Fall Guys.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, if they do, that would actually be really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't think that will happen. Um, I would say there's probably going to be a segment where they say like where they have like a partners segment,
Hmm.
where they're going to say like Atlas, Koei Tecmo, Bandai, whatever, Capcom, all that stuff, and like Xbox will be a part of that.
Hmm.
And then they'll probably say like maybe games like they won't say the name, but they're just gonna probably show like thumbnails of different games and stuff.
Right.
And so I feel like they'll probably be like, and your favorite games also coming to this console or something like that. And
Hmm.
so I can see that maybe popping up there. I don't like they definitely wouldn't go into details, I don't think. But
Right.
yeah, Master Chief, yeah, that's an interesting
Hmm.
concept. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen because I mean, like ultimately, yeah, I mean, even though Halo has unfortunately been kind of stuck in neutral for the last 10 years, the
Yeah.
reality is it's still
Yeah.
probably one of Microsoft's biggest IPs. And I
Yeah. I
think,
mean, I don't think people, a little side tangent, people didn't talk enough about the campaign. The campaign for Halo Infinite was really good.
yeah.
And like the way it ended is like sets up the next like game in the series perfectly.
Hmm.
And so I don't know, maybe then the next game would be on Switch too. I don't know, probably not. But
Oh, we can hope. Yeah.
but yeah.
So yeah, I feel pretty calm about that. Next up, I'm going no to the new Indiana Jones game. I think we might see that at some point on Switch too, but I don't think it'll
Oh
be
no,
tomorrow.
I don't. I think that is. I don't think that would run well on a Switch
Really,
2.
I think it could do all right. I mean, like, I don't think it'll
Have
be
you played it?
bad.
Have you played
I
it?
have not played it myself, but I have seen gameplay.
I've played it myself, and the game looks great,
Hmm.
like really good. Uh, and I don't think it would have to definitely be dumbed down
Yeah.
for like a PS4 Pro.
Yeah, because like to me, like when I think about this game, like this game kind of reminds me of like Witcher 3 when the Switch 1 came out. Like people kind of thought like, okay, nobody wants Witcher 3. The game is too big and too powerful of a game.
Mhm.
And sure enough, we got Witcher 3 on Switch 1. So I think it's one of those things where like people might instantly think like maybe not. But I think yeah,
Mhm.
maybe with a little bit of like a downgrade, maybe a tiny bit, we could still see it and think it would still do all right.
Mhm.
So I think it's possible. But like I said, I think it's one of those games we'll see in like a year. I don't think we'll see it tomorrow. I think we might see it eventually.
Yeah. Well, then I'm gonna guess a game that you might have on there. Would do you think
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3?
I do have that listed. I actually I wasn't sure if I think it's gonna be there tomorrow or not. My gut tells me no, but I think there's a chance we might see
Because
it.
yeah, because like they had trouble getting like split screen to work on the Series S
Hmm.
just due to how intense the game is. So yeah, so I don't the Series S is I think a little more powerful than the PS4 Pro.
Right.
Um and so I don't know if they would want it to be if Larian wants to try to
Make it
optimize
work.
it for
Yeah.
Switch 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I would say that would be a huge selling point. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't expect there to be that to be like
Yeah.
one of their partners
Yeah.
showcased.
I agree. Yeah, my gut tells me no. I think that's another game we could see in maybe like 2 or 3 years, but I don't think we'll see it tomorrow.
Mhm.
Um,
But before you move on,
yeah.
do you think we're going to see an appearance from Reggie?
No.
A little Easter egg.
I would
You don't
love
think
to, but no.
you don't think they're going to be like he's going to be like, "Hey everyone, I'm doing great in retirement."
No. I actually think you'd have a better chance of showing up if it was a in-person event. The fact that it's a direct, I think no.
Really, that'd be easier. He could just have a green screen at home and record a few lines.
Yeah, maybe, but then it's just like, but then it's like, why is he on here? Because like at least if it's like an in-person event, it's like okay, well, like
Because it'd
maybe
just
he
be
wants to go
cool.
see the
It's a
cool
little
event in
nostalgia thing.
person.
I don't know. Maybe they'll do another Muppets,
Another, oh, God,
another
please
Muppets thing
no.
like they like the what that was cool. Was
Like
it, was
E3
it
2015, like
yeah, where
the dark Nintendo times of the Wii U.
where they were Muppets, you know?
That was
You don't
depressing, bro. That was a dark E3.
you don't want
God.
that?
I mean,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
hate the idea by itself, but I hate everything it's associated with. So
Uh,
no.
but no,
Um,
I want to see Reggie.
I would love to see him. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
we'll see Bowser. We'll see Doug Bowser.
Yeah, well, we probably will actually. I think we will see Doug
Yeah.
Bowser.
Mm.
Um, next up, I'm going with no. I think we're going to see no Assassin's Creed of any kind tomorrow.
I was thinking because like it could definitely run uh the newer Assassin's Creed,
Hmm.
um, especially because Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla were on the previous generation.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Valhalla was also on 4 and Xbox One. Um,
I believe so too. Yeah.
yeah, and Shadows isn't like a huge fidelity increase or anything. Like it's the same. I think it's the same engine as like Valhalla and uh Odyssey were
Odyssey.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like those would still run well.
Right.
Yeah, and a ton of Ubisoft party games and stuff go to Switch. So I would say that I would think that Ubisoft would be on like a partnered showcase kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, maybe not say specifically Assassin's Creed, but maybe like show a little bit of like gameplay or something of like the game.
Sure.
'Cause
What do you think it'll be then?
it would either be Shadows or Odyssey, I would say,
Yeah.
as like just a snippet of gameplay.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, because on the Switch you can play. There's the Ezio trilogy,
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
and I think that's it, right, for
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
I know 1 through 4 is on there. After that, I don't remember.
The first no one's not on there.
Oh, it's not. Oh,
No,
never mind.
I don't believe so.
I thought it was.
Uh,
I could be wrong.
no, there's one. The first game has never been like ported or anything. Like you can only play like the 360 version or
Uh-huh.
like the old version like itself. Like there's no newer
But there's also the
version.
Rebel collection. I forgot about that. Yeah. So 4 and 5 are both on there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So then yeah, I think we definitely see I think if we do see it, I think it would be Odyssey. I don't think it would be Shadows.
New
But
Shadows.
yeah, but maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh,
All right.
was it?
You have one next?
Yeah,
You want me to go?
because like Black Flag and um Rogue is on there.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, three's on there. And then the Ezio trilogy.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And
Yeah.
so because those are the games that were 360, so those obviously run fine on
Mm.
here. But yeah. What was
Okay. All right, I got you. I got one next. This is a
okay?
bolder one, but I do feel somewhat calm about this. It's a bit of a reach. I think we will see Helldivers 2 tomorrow. Yeah,
Uh,
I said that.
no.
I think because it's a
I
big
I don't think
multiplayer
so.
game and because
I don't think so.
I think they want to push it as kind of like a multi-platform game. I think we could see it tomorrow. I think it's possible.
Maybe, but that's also something where like I mean, if it is gonna be on Switch 2, it's also gonna come to Xbox. Like that's not gonna be a thing where it's like it's only not on Xbox. Um,
Yeah,
because I mean, a lot of people have been wanting it on Xbox. Obviously, no one's been saying about it for Switch, but
right.
I'm gonna say no. There's not gonna be a thing
Okay.
about that tomorrow.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Next up, I think we will see Marvel Rivals. I think it'll be on there tomorrow.
I could see that. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
you do you think they'll say anything about Overwatch 2 or no?
I think no.
Okay. Yeah, because I could see Mobile Rivals.
Yeah.
I could see that being there.
Next up, I think no for Tekken 8. I think that game is too graphically
No, I don't.
intensive.
I don't. I don't think anyone even really cares for that coming to
Really,
Switch.
I think people would care. I just don't think it would. I don't think it would run well enough. Like the Tekken 2 is like a lot of particle effects, a lot of visual requirements. I just don't think it would. Like even amongst like a lot of like games that take a lot to run, I think that game would be a little bit too much. So I think no. Next up, I think we will definitely will see Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. I think the game's kind of like an obvious one. I think we'll see that
Oh,
one for sure.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't really even know what.
It's made by Bandai Namco. It's a fighting game.
Oh, I'm
It's an
sure.
it's a good looking game, but nothing that Switch 2 couldn't handle, I don't think. And it's already on everything else, so I think it'll be on. I think it'll be
Okay.
on
Yeah.
Switch
Yeah.
2. Next up,
Sure.
this is what I'm really on the fence about because we don't know enough about the game yet, but I think it is possible. So I want to at least acknowledge its existence. I think there is a chance we could see Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Yeah. I don't know. Because yeah, there obviously hasn't been a lot on that game already.
Yeah,
Um, I'm gonna say no because I think that's a game that is really gonna be trying to push fidelity. Um, because like what we've seen from like the trailers is that it's supposed to be like it kind of has that vibe of like it's supposed to like look amazing.
right.
Um, and so I just don't think that's gonna be something that they want on the Switch 2.
Right. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's gonna come
Mhm.
down to just how intensive the game is. We don't know. So,
Mhm.
um, until
Yeah,
we find that out, it's hard to really
yeah.
say. But
But
I
I
think
do I
I
do.
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but then do you think there's gonna be anything Kojima Productions? Like,
I
do you
don't
think
think
maybe Death
tomorrow.
Stranding? No, because
I
I
think
don't think so.
I don't, I don't think we will tomorrow. I think eventually we could see that like in the future, but not tomorrow.
Mhm.
I think. Hmm.
I don't think
Yeah,
there'd be
I don't think
anything.
so either. I think it might be. I think it's like possible we could see it like maybe in some capacity, but I think it's unlikely.
Mhm.
Next up, I said no for this one because I believe I didn't actually look this up. I believe it's a time exclusive for at least a year, so I put no. But I think there's a chance we could get some hint of a Silent Hill 2 remake port on Switch 2. Um,
Maybe.
so that's kind of throwing out there. Next
Mm.
up, this is one I was on the fence about as well because this game obviously I think would do in its current form quite well on Switch 2. I think there's a chance we might see Cyberpunk on Switch 2.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's good because because Project Red, they had Witcher 3 on
Right.
Switch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that
Yeah.
being because I think Witcher 3 sold probably well enough on Switch to justify maybe a Cyberpunk port.
Yeah. And plus,
Um,
the fact that
s-
it's now like a complete game that people were hoping for,
yeah.
I think it would do pretty well. So, and not to mention having it on the go is always cool. So,
Mhm.
I think we could see that.
Yeah, I could see that
Yeah. So I'm gonna go yes
being
for that
being
one.
there. Hmm.
Next, this one is also another one I'm on the fence about quite a lot, but I think I'm gonna lean no at least for tomorrow. I think we will not see Monster Hunter Wilds. I think it's a little bit too soon. But I think that's something else
Hmm.
we could see in like a year or two. I'm gonna be surprised.
Yeah.
Next, and this is the last one I have on here. Um, some people obviously, we talked earlier, we talked about Square Enix a few times now with Final Fantasy. Of course, we know Dragon Quest is on the way. Um, do we think we could see something else from Square Enix? Like I've seen rumors popping around of maybe a Dragon Quest IX remake. I've seen rumors of maybe
Mhm.
something Chrono Trigger related. Um, I think
Uh,
that go ahead.
I I don't nothing Chrono Trigger because
Yeah,
that's just something that is like the minds that came together to make that like there had to be a lot to go through for that to happen again.
right.
Um, to get the to like redo the rights and stuff for
Hmm.
it. Uh, I mean, I don't really know about Dragon Quest.
Yeah, I don't know
Like,
much either to be honest, so I couldn't tell you either. The one I thought of that might show up maybe is we might see a port of the new Life is Strange game. Um, I know
hmm
that's one that just came out a few months ago, so maybe we see that. Um,
hmm
but
yeah,
yeah,
and, I will say two other games that would be in hand with Xbox collaboration would be
yeah.
Avowed and Starfield. If they want to have like exclusives brought over to
Hmm.
Switch 2, then I think those are the two because those aren't like graphically intense
No,
per se. Um,
I would like
you know,
Avowed. Starfield, I'm on the fence. I could take or leave that. I don't know.
yeah,
I like
but yeah,
Avowed.
but
Avowed's a
but
good
I
pick though. I like Avowed.
mhm. Yeah, because I think those would be like ones where it's like, see the new ones are on here and
Right.
like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now we can go back into a few more first parties that I have written down just to kind of cover up our tracks here, so to speak. We obviously did not get a new Fire Emblem game announced last week, so do we think we'll see one tomorrow?
No, I don't think so.
Really, I actually think we might. I think because like I was pretty confident if we saw one last week, it was going to be a remake of an old game. I mentioned Genealogy and the Holy War remake. Didn't get that. So I think what that could mean is maybe they aren't doing it because they're doing a new one instead. I think this actually could be like a December title for this year. Takes the place like the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 slot that was in 2017. It's like kind of like a big like RPG. Um, I think we could see it. I don't know for sure if I think it'll be announced, nor do I know for sure it'll be this year even. But I think it is time enough for a new Fire Emblem game. I definitely think it is possible we see a new one.
hmm Okay. Yeah,
Um, what else do I have here? Do I have anything else? That might actually be it.
that's all.
Okay. So in that case, I want to. Oh, sorry. One more thing. I forgot to mention this. Do we think we'll see Sakurai's game tomorrow? And what will it be, if so?
I mean, he'll definitely show up,
Right.
but maybe not to say anything about like a game that he's doing, but maybe just to be a presenter for
Sure.
something.
See,
Because
I actually go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, because I don't think he's gonna say anything. If he does do anything for a game presenting, I think it would be something Kirby. But
Kirby.
yeah, because how long
Maybe.
ago was Lost Worlds? What was
That was the last brand new one of Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Oh, Forgotten Lands? Yeah.
But we've also gotten the Return to Dreamland remake since then as well, which was about 2 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it could be time for a new Kirby game. Yeah, I know we talked about the last week a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked to see a new one. And the only thing that makes me hesitant about Kirby though is Kirby usually is a con is an IP that we don't see the first year of a console. It usually isn't a big enough title for that. So that feels like another IP we would wait to see until like later this year or next year.
hmm
So I would go no to Kirby, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think it's possible we could see one announced.
Yeah.
Um, my prediction for his game, I do think it's finally happening. I think we're finally going to get a port or remake. Oh, yeah,
We're
it's
not getting anything Kid
my
Icarus.
own video. I think we're getting the Kid Icarus Uprising port. I
We're
think it's finally
not.
happening.
No,
You
it's
know,
not.
the mouse controls would finally save, or the mouse feature would finally save those horrible
Uh,
controls. And I think
I
we
don't think
finally get
so.
it. So I'm going
No,
yes to that. I think it's
I
gonna
don't
happen.
think so. I don't think so.
Um,
Yeah, we've already got Tomodachi Life. You can't. That's the only one IP that's been gone for like 10 years at a time. Like they're not gonna do a Kid Icarus.
you say so. I don't know. I think it's possible.
Uh,
I just feel like it makes too much sense. It's like if it's not, if it's like, it's like I am convinced he's not working on a new Smash Bros. Yet. I don't think it's time. And so unless it's like some brand new IP, I don't know what else it could possibly be. I don't think it's Kirby. You actually, believe it or not, does not have a big hand in Kirby anymore. So
oh really?
yeah, so if it was an IP we already know about, it would have to be Smash or Kid Icarus. Unless it's
Hmm.
like some other IP he's bringing back. Like maybe, I've heard of rumors maybe he's bringing back Ice Climbers in some capacity. I don't think so. Um,
I don't think anyone really cares
I agree. Yeah.
for like an Ice Climbers game.
Yeah, so I think Kid Icarus is the natural answer. Even if it's not an uprising port, I think a new one's even more possible. Um, so I think it'll be one of those.
Uh-huh.
I think Kid Icarus will show up in some capacity.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Next up, one thing I also want to mention I forgot about is every console since I think the Wii, yeah, every console since the Wii has had some kind of like tech demo-esque like game that's like shown off the full capacity of the system in terms of the things it can do. Whereas back on the Wii, we saw Wii Sports, the Wii U had Nintendo Land, and of course Switch had One-Two Switch. Do we think
Hmm.
we'll see a game like that on
Oh
Switch too?
yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously.
What do you think it'll be? You think it'll be like a current IP or like something brand new?
Something new, and it'll probably use the like that stupid mouse thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
have
no,
two ideas for it.
and it's not gonna be like a insanely great game. I don't think. I think it's gonna
Sure.
be kind of average. I think it'll be better than One Two Switch because I think they kind of are gonna be like, especially after making like a second One Two Switch game and like no one really caring
Yeah.
that much about it. It's like I think they'll probably want to do something maybe a little bit less relying on the gimmick, um, and something with probably a lot more replayability.
Right.
But
Yeah, I actually so I think more than likely, yeah, it'll be a new IP. I do think it's
mhm.
actually pretty good though, because those games, I mean, I have the three that exist. Two of them have a good track record of being pretty good. Like Wii Sports obviously was a great game. And then Nintendo
uh,
Land I think was an underrated gem that I don't know people played because it was on Wii U. And
uh,
of course one two switches, it is what it is. But I do think those games for the most part are actually pretty good. So I actually do think it'll be a good game, whatever it is.
mhm.
Um, I did have two ideas so far. I think it could be if it is a current IP. My first idea is that maybe you mentioned earlier the whole casting thing. I think if we do see that feature, I think it could very well be a Nintendo Land 2.
I mean,
I
that'd be
feel,
cool.
yeah, I feel like Nintendo Land is still a great game that just did not get the appreciation it deserves. And I think it'd be a great way to kind of once again bring back some of these like more, like lesser known or like lesser used IPs like that we haven't seen in a while. Maybe like Star Fox, maybe another F-Zero
Yeah,
title.
yeah. Because is there also on the like the running like what they showed? Was there a camera on the front of
I
Switch 2?
don't remember, but I don't think so.
Because everyone forget. Because I don't know anything that it was used for. The camera on the Switch 1.
Yeah.
Like like I forgot that it was there until I just now thought about it because I don't think it's used for anything
Yeah.
like at all.
Yeah,
Like I don't know what it was used. Actually, let me look
I
up
don't
because
think
I
any
don't.
I don't know if any first party games use it. It's like not even like was like what game like I don't maybe no, I don't think even Fail Frame did because that game didn't need it. It just needed gyro. Because also we had like new Pokemon Snap. That game wouldn't have used this. It doesn't need a real life camera. Same with Fail Frame. See, I don't know what game would have even used that feature, honestly. So yeah, I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, because I'm gonna look this up right now. What has the I think because like it didn't use anything with Labo. Um,
Didn't I actually think it might have. Now you mention it, I'm not sure, but I think it might have.
because I don't like that might be the only thing that it's been used for.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. Because, like, I guess, I mean, it's kind of a stupid feature, but like, like, uh, Me World, or what is it called? Miiverse,
Nintendo. Oh,
what's it called?
Miiverse. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
like
what?
Nintendo Land
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
Nintendo Land.
like is like the only feature with the camera though was just like to show the person looking at the screen while playing,
Right.
and it's like I don't. I think the other feature that the Wii U had for it was like it would take a picture of your face to make a me that did not look like you, but it tried its best.
Mm,
I don't like unless the Switch does that. I don't think it does. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I don't. Yes, I don't even.
Hmm.
Yeah, I honestly forgot there was even a camera on the Switch. I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
'cause
So
I literally think there is nothing that has used it.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it sounds like kind of like a forgotten feature, for better or for
Uh-huh.
worse. Um, the last so one third party I just remembered that I did not mention earlier that I wanted to talk about is, do you think we can see Fallout on Switch too, in any shape or form?
Maybe just because I mean it is, Xbox now.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they would definitely try to put is there any Fallout port on Switch?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, because I don't think New Vegas is on here. Yeah.
No.
I would say if anything it would probably only be um probably like 76 just because
You think
they would
so?
want. Yeah, I wouldn't see them trying to do a port of um like New Vegas or 3 or 4. I think they would only just stick with 76.
Fair enough. I think it's okay if we could see New Vegas. I think it's possible. I also think we could
Mm.
see maybe like, hmm, I think we could even see like Fallout 4, maybe even. Um,
Eh,
but yeah, I don't. I just don't think 76 is notable enough. I don't know if people are gonna want that. So I would go
ah,
no, but
they've
maybe.
ported Skyrim 100 times, but no one
That's
was like
true.
begging for it. So
That's true. But do people actually like 76? Is that like a popular game still?
I know it's definitely like liked a lot more now than when it first launched.
Yeah,
Um, but I think Xbox is still putting in like support into that game, even
yeah,
now. So that's why I feel like if that's something that they would want to show for like, look, it can run well on the Switch too now
sure.
and Xbox, I think that it would just be 76 and not 4.
Fair enough.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's possible, certainly. Yeah.
mm, yeah,
Okay. Well, do you have any other predictions, or you want to go into kind of like bolder, kind of like big, huge release, maybe that less likely
no,
to happen,
that's
but I think it's
mm,
possible.
no, that's all.
Okay. Well, I have one bold prediction for you. I don't think this is impossible, but
Hmm.
obviously it's a bolder claim and prediction, so I think it's unlikely. But I do think there is reason to believe it could happen. I mentioned earlier I do
Uh-huh.
not think we're getting a brand new Zelda announced, and I
Uh-huh.
still believe that. However, I do think we're going to see a new Zelda game announced. And my meaning of that is I think we're going to get a remake of Ocarina of Time on Switch 2. And not only that,
Mm.
I think this is going to be a very ambitious remake. I think it is going to be in two parts, the same way that like Final Fantasy VII Remake is, that inspired anyway. I think it's going to be split up by the young Link half and the adult Link half. I think it's going to expand upon the world and upon
How
some of
would
the
that work
characters.
story-wise though?
The same way. I mean, just expand upon the original game. Like maybe you spend more time talking to the people in Korkiri Forest, like Saria, for instance, in the game. Maybe you have a more of a longer cutscene with the Deku Tree. Maybe going to Hyrule, maybe crossing Hyrule Field takes a lot longer than it did before. Maybe you do more stuff in Hyrule Castle. That's the thing, right? And FF7, the biggest complaint people have with that game, especially people that play the original, compared to remake anyway, was in remake a lot of areas and a lot of things that took either little time to get through or little time to do were expanded upon a lot to the point where people felt like it was almost too much, like too much fluff, too much extra stuff that didn't need to be
Yeah.
there. I think that we could easily see that with Ocarina of Time because there are a lot of areas in that game that either are not fully utilized in the sense that you don't do a lot there, or or it's all optional. And I feel like you can make those areas more fleshed out and maybe spend more time, more required time in those areas, and therefore make them feel more important over the course of the game. And so I feel like we could see that with this game. Like I think about like Kokiri Forest, think about Hyrule Town, or whatever you call that area. Maybe even Zelda's
And
Castle, talking to Zelda. I think those kind of things
I
could
don't
be
know, man.
very much like expanded upon and made into a more fleshed out experience. Ocarina of
I
Time, go ahead, go ahead.
I hardly disagree. I very strongly disagree with them splitting it up into two parts. That is not I don't think that is something they would ever do
Why?
because that's not really something they've ever done, is
I mean,
purposely splitting a game into two.
Square Enix has never done it until they did it with Final Fantasy VII.
Well, but that's Square Enix. That's not Nintendo.
Yeah, so first time
Uh,
everything.
I mean, I could say maybe a ring, but if they did the stupid Ocarina of Time Part 1, I don't think that would be good. And I don't think they would do that. I think
I think
they
it could happen. I think it could be like the one last thing for this direct. Um, Obviously, Ocarina of Time is kind of like considered like the Nintendo equivalent to like NFF7 in terms of like scope, in terms of like how big it was on the industry.
yeah.
And I do feel like because it has like a young Link half and an adult Link half, it has like that kind of like natural split. They could divide the two. I feel like it'd be easier to do it in that game than most other games. Um, and I think it's time. Like Grezzo has not made a brand new. I don't think they ever made a brand new Zelda game before, other than Echoes of Wisdom, which they helped on. And I feel like it's been 14 years since Ocarina of Time last came out, which was on the 3DS, and that was just an updated like like visual port of the game with a few other extra things in
Technically, it's
there.
on NSO.
It is on NSO, but that wasn't, that was a way to play it, we'll say. Um, and I feel like with how big of a game it is, and the fact that once like we mentioned earlier, I don't think there's a lot of other easy potential for them to add Zelda this year in any other way. I guess I don't think we're getting the Wii U ports anymore. Um, I think it's a little bit too soon maybe for a brand new release or a new announcement. Um, Although I think it's possible. I feel like this would be something that could be a nice like, little middle ground, so to speak. And I think it would be extremely hype amongst Zelda fans. So I think we could see that happen. So that is my bold prediction. I get it's not likely, but I think it's something that's possible. I think it'd be really cool. So.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, I don't really have like a bold game prediction of something. Yeah, I don't have anything like that. I guess like the next thing would be like, do you think there's gonna be any like big new IP that they want?
I think it could be one. Obviously it could be that kind of like showcasing the system game that we talked about a minute ago.
Hmm.
Outside of that, there always could be one. We could see like another like Splatoon or ARMS type game. I don't know what that game would look like because we still unfortunately we still don't know a lot of like a ton of like the new big features of this game and like maybe the mouse. So I don't know what that game would be, but I think it's possible we can see it certainly.
Hmm. Yeah, okay.
Um, so yeah.
Um, Actually, I guess my like maybe bold claim thing is that uh they're going to put a little bit more effort into VR.
VR.
Yes.
I could see
Like
that.
instead of because with this being probably a much better screen, um they while it won't be, probably as good as, like the Oculus Quest or something, um, because all they did was like they sold you a piece of cardboard that you could
Yeah.
slide the system into. But if they maybe put more effort into designing a headset, like a real headset that you could then like snap the Switch to into, um, then because before you had to hold it up to your face, like there was not even a headband, but kind of like all the VR headsets they have the controllers, and the Joy-Cons would be perfect for controllers of a VR headset because they already are separated,
Mhm.
and have great tracking. Um, so like I would say that would be a great leap in showing the uh graphical and power upgrades of the Switch 2 is diving into more versatility of the way to play games on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Yeah, like you mentioned, VR has been dabbled in to some extent on the Switch 1 with Labo, but it
Hmm.
was never really done to an extent where anyone really cared.
Yeah.
And
Like that
so
was definitely like a they were just not even dipping their toes in it. They were looking at the water and
right,
and they're like, let's just make it cardboard and see what happens.
right. Yeah,
Like,
and so I mean it's one of those things where it's something, yeah, like one of the few natural spaces they can enter that they haven't been into into a heavy meaning
mhm.
before is VR, and so I think it's possible we can see that. I don't know if I think it would be tomorrow, only because I think they want to focus on the console itself, and I think that'd
Mhm.
be like a little bit too,
You
a
don't
little
think
bit.
that that would be like a big like feature to showcase during
I
like
think it depends
the
on how
direct?
they approach it, because like obviously if it's like PSVR, that sounds like a whole new console basically.
Mhm.
And so I don't think they would want to do something like that, or they have like a whole new like separate thing just for VR. Um, but I mean, if it's something that's like, like for certain games or something, maybe. Um, I think it depends on how they approach it, but maybe.
Yeah, because I would say it could definitely like if it's PS4 Pro levels of graphic uh like that's definitely more than powerful enough of like I don't know how powerful the Quest 3 is. Um but I definitely know that like it can run like games pretty well.
Mhm.
The only thing with is that because we just don't know the exact specs of the screen, it's really the screen that is the the big kind because we know that it could run like a VR game fine, like a 3D VR game fine, most
Mhm.
likely. Because the PS4 had VR.
Right.
Um, it's just more of the screen. And so I could see them like that being like let's say tomorrow, like during, when they announce like they'll probably show like the new Pro controller, and then if they announce any other accessories, that it would be a part of that.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's possible. Like I said, I think it always depends on just like what their approach is in terms of like how they want to use it. But I think it's possible. I think it's definitely
Mhm.
something they are always considering. Um, that's another thing we can talk about really fast. We have not seen the Pro Controller
Mm.
yet for this console. Do
Yeah.
you think I assume we'll see it tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah,
And then that would probably either confirm or not, if there's a headphone jack on there, and if there is,
right,
then there's, that'll hint at other things.
right.
But it's definitely not going to be like any major changes because the Pro controller, it's pretty perfect. Like,
I agree for the most part. However, I think we'll have one notable change. If you've been following the patents for some of the controllers they've been
mhm.
filing recently, there is a filing for a Pro controller like controller that is able to split in half in order to use the mouse function on the controller. Um,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
I
there's a
would
chance
say
we could see
like
that.
in terms of like the design of like the I guess like the feeling in the hand,
Yeah,
like I don't think they really need to change that
no,
because like that, like it fits in the hand well. I don't
right.
think they really need to change that. The most that would be is maybe just changing the grip a tiny bit, but like I think it's a good size. Like the Pro Controller already has a really good battery life. Like maybe maybe it'd be something where like the Pro Controller, like maybe if the Joy-Cons don't have analog triggers, the Pro Controller might.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's really it. And then I don't think there would be any besides maybe like the like a VR headset kind of attachment. I don't think there would be any other um announcements for peripherals except if there is a headset port on the controller. I would say maybe like an official Nintendo headset.
Mhm.
Uh,
I can see
and
that.
and that
Yeah.
could maybe be partnering with them because so like they have like PlayStation has their own like official headset, Xbox has their own official headset um that is supposed to be like perfectly made for like the sound that the console can generate basically.
Right.
You yeah, that's really the only thing I could see.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else they could possibly do. I don't know anything else. Um,
Yeah, I think
no. Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
is our Switch 2
Yeah,
predictions.
good stuff. All right, yeah. So, yeah, obviously I'm very excited for this. So,
Yeah. So
I'll ask you one more time, uh, after this discussion. Are you
still a 9.
still a nine? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm at a nine too. Maybe even like 9.5, like somewhere around there. I think I'm definitely very excited.
hmm So
I
yeah,
would
I mean,
definitely
yeah,
say
and
go
they
ahead.
did say it was like 10 hours ago or something. They tweeted that it was going to be 60 minutes.
Yeah, I would have
Uh,
mentioned that earlier, but I totally forgot. But yeah, it was an hour long thing, so there's clearly gonna be a
yeah,
lot of content in here.
yeah, and then there is going to be a treehouse.
Yeah, two tree houses actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah the 2 days, next two
Yeah,
days after that.
yeah,
So then that'll probably be like whatever games and stuff they talk about tomorrow is going to
right.
be what's with the treehouse.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
but
I guess
yeah,
that's one quick thing we can end on, I guess, is what games do you think we'll have in the treehouse? Like what games and they'll cover in that?
I mean 100% Mario Kart.
Right. I think Mario Kart, Metroid
Um,
Prime 4, and then Mario are the obvious ones.
yeah, I would say like it definitely it's not going to be more than 3 games.
You think
Um,
so? I think it could be like quite a few. I think it'd be like five or six because like based on
really?
treehouses in the past, they usually don't spend more than like at most an hour on a game.
Wasn't it that they had like uh like the treehouse for like New Horizon, Animal Crossing New Horizons? Like the entire thing was just New Horizons.
I don't recall offhand. I want to say no, but I guess it's always possible. I don't remember.
I don't know, because I would think like maybe 1 or 2 games on the first day, and then maybe 1 or 2 games on the second day.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Because they are showing most of these games for the first time, so maybe they have
Yeah,
enough to show.
like 1 game probably is gonna have something to do with the mouse function, and
Right.
then something probably showing portably,
hmm
and then maybe that's probably it.
Also, real quick, do you think? I assume the answer is no, but I have to ask anyway. Do you think we'll see Pokemon tomorrow again?
No,
I agree. Yeah,
no,
I
no.
was actually pretty shocked we saw it last week, so I don't think we're gonna see
Yeah,
it
because
again.
I didn't think they were gonna say anything more about like because what they showed was pretty much what they already showed in the Pokemon Direct, just a
Yeah,
tiny bit more in depth. And it was
yeah.
literally like right, wasn't it like they only showed a little bit more of like the wild area?
The Wild
Maybe
Zones. Yeah,
yeah, and but like that was all the new information. It's like okay, that wasn't like
yeah.
super needed, but
They explained. So actually, they did explain one thing. Also, we talked in the Pokemon discussion. We talked about how the like kind of like the end of the direct showed how like there's like some new like battle thing going on. Remember we talked about what that could possibly be.
Oh
We now
yeah.
know what that is. Of course, now if you go into the wild zones at night, there are trainers there you can battle, which is cool because yeah, that was one of the biggest complaints people had about Legends Arceus was how there was like no trainer battles in the game basically.
Oh yeah.
So now we finally have a way to have trainer battles on a consistent basis. So that's pretty cool.
Mhm. Yeah. So all right. Well, is that all? That's all I have
Yeah, that's all
for.
for me too. Also, I think we'll see Professor Layton tomorrow. We did not see it last week, so we're gonna see it tomorrow.
Mhm.
Hopefully we see New Phoenix right, but not getting my hopes up.
That's not gonna be part of it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. I don't think either, but we can hope.
Just like Ocarina of Time 3D remake.
That's gonna happen, bro. I'm telling you right now.
Mm.
Come back to me when it happens.
You
Yeah,
you should be one of those people that tweet every time like everyone that replies to this Tomodachi Life 2 is announced tomorrow. I'll buy it for them because they know they're not gonna have to buy it for them, and then they have to buy it for them because it was announced. So you're gonna do that. Well, you know what they say. Uh,
oh, we also Silk Song will be shot tomorrow.
like I said, man, you got Tomodachi Life. That's the only one you get for another like year or two.
You say so.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right. Yeah,
bye
cool.
everyone.
Thank you all for
Yes.
watching, and I will
Hmm.
catch you all on the flip side.
Yes, yes.
Bye
And
bye.
don't commit terrorism.
You said it. All right. Bye.
Uh, uh, uh.